Exciting, thrilling, awesome. Let's take a look.
What's up, Mets fans? Welcome back to Talking Mets with Rob. Hopefully, everybody enjoyed that 1986 rendition of Let's Go Mets Go. That was always a favorite of mine and probably a lot of other Mets fans, bringing a little 1986 magic to the 2022 Mets with 20 games to go, including today, game 143 of the season. We are here. We are in crunch time, about a little over 2 weeks until the end of the season. Mets are a game and a half up in the division against the Braves. The Braves are on a 3-game losing streak. Haha. I'm expecting no Brave fans here tonight because they run away when things get tough, and that's expected for bandwagon Braves fans, including Georgia Bulldog fans, because we all know they're Georgia Bulldog fans first. We all know that. Before I get started talking about a little bit more about, obviously, the game today, give me 1 second. Sorry about the sound. Fixing it. Give me a second. All right. Does that sound better? How's that sound, guys? Let me just make sure we're all can even hear me. I know some people already said they can. Others said they can't. Just give me a thumbs up or a yes or a no so we can get started with the pregame. Joe and the lockout as always. Well, I mean, he's been pretty damn good for a while, Chris Bassett, probably about 2 months now. So honestly, it was bound to happen. But you know what? That wasn't even about Bassett yesterday. That was about the Mets offense that we'll get into in a little bit. So with that said, today is the first day that I'm officially live on Twitter as well. So if you follow me on Twitter, TMWRNYM, that's my handle on Twitter. So if you want to follow me on Twitter and you can't get onto YouTube and Twitter's a little bit easier to follow sometimes when you go live, I am officially on Twitter. So if everybody who's following on Twitter right now, what's up? Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel itself on YouTube. And welcome everybody on Facebook as well. So we got Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter all live right now. Watching Mets pregame live right here on Talking Mets and Rob. So with that said, what a tough performance by the Mets yesterday offensively. I know Bassett gave up 5 runs. I understand that, but the Mets had bases loaded twice in this game. In the 8th, bases loaded, nobody out. Made no sense how they can't score a damn run in that inning with bases loaded, nobody out. Sack fly, a bloop hit, anything. Productive outs, anything. Even a double play ball would have probably got us a run. But people decided not to put the bat on the ball. And I do want to start with that 8th inning with Darren Ruff. Once again, and this backfires to the Mets 2 months ago, 3 months ago, right before the deadline with Mark Vientos. If you're not going to bring the kid, if you're going to bring the kid up, play the effing kid. It's very simple. Very, very simple. And hype, I do agree Alonso needs a break. Honestly, I would have put Vientos starting first base today. If you don't want to DH him, put him at first base. Why bring up a kid that you didn't want to trade for a reliever or a big bat because you believe he's so good? And Epler and the Mets said before the deadline, if they don't get a big bat or two in the DH spot that they were looking for, they trust Vientos to be that guy. Well, if you think you trust him so much and you believe in him, play the guy. Why wasn't he pinch hit yesterday in a spot where there was a perfect, the whole point of bringing up Vientos, it wasn't just about the Marte injury, even though, yes, it was easier to get him in the roster, in the 28, the MLB roster for the Mets roster to get him in the game, to get him in on the team. But clearly, Ruff and Vogelbach has done nothing. I'd rather go down with Mark Vientos, seeing what he has, than knowing what Ruff was going to do. Thank God Ruff actually put the bat on the ball for once without striking out. I mean, he's 1 for his last 33, now 34. You cannot continue to throw these guys out here and expect better things to happen just because they're veterans. I don't care about that. You know what Buck did when Escobar couldn't hit left-handed? He played Luis Guillorme. I want to see the same thing with Mark Vientos in the spot, and I don't care about lefty-righty. Vientos showed in the minor leagues for 2 years now that he can hit lefties and he can hit righties. Give the kid a chance. Why is he up here? If you're not going to play him, you're not going to start him, which, oh, by the way, he's not starting again today. Send him back down and let him play every day because it's pointless at this point. Because Vogelbach has done nothing. He either takes a walk or he grounds the ball in the infield. He doesn't do anything else. So Vogelbach hasn't been good for about a month now, and Ruff hasn't been good since day one. Nate Quinn has his moments. I like Nate Quinn as a fourth outfielder, somebody for defensive replacement, or maybe if you just need somebody who's struggling at the plate, you put Nate Quinn in, fine. I'm not going to go crazy about that. But what I'm going to go crazy about is the fact that you bring this kid up. Yes, I know he went 0 for 5 with a couple of strikeouts in Miami, but that was his first live action in the big leagues. Give him a chance, please. I don't want to see Ruff. What is Ruff going to do? If Ruff would have ran into one and hit a grand slam yesterday, I still would have said it was a bad move because a lot of people would have been like, oh, Buck got the pulse of the team. No, he doesn't. Anybody and their mother can run into a home run every now and then. The worst hitter in Major League Baseball, you want to talk? Joey Gallo can run into a home run anytime. And JD, I don't agree that Buck a few decades ago, he passed him by because that's a joke. The Mets' best team since '86 is this year. So you can't give Buck credit when credit's due. When the Mets are playing well and when they're bad, you can always give it to Buck. Because at the same time, the New York Yankees fans, if you listen to them, all they wanted was Buck before to get rid of Boone. And on top of that, JD, I know you're a Dodger fan. Listen up. Dave Roberts probably cost you at least a chance of winning the World Series at least twice in his run so far. So let's not talk about managers. And I'm not saying Buck likes his veterans. I get that. I do get that. But you know what? When it comes down to it, I hope, I don't like injuries, but, Ruff needs to turn an ankle or something because he had no problem putting Brett Beatty in when there was no other choice. Maybe you have to give no choice to Buck Showalter and let him put in Vientos because I just don't understand. And I don't know if this is an Epler front office thing telling Buck, I want Ruff in, I want Vogelbach in. Vientos is a number 3 option. I don't know. But yesterday was the perfect situation, where you put Mark Vientos in. Don't bring up a kid who's been here 3 days now, and he has 5 at-bats. Now, if you don't want to play him after the 0-for-5 game, all right, fine. Give him a breather. He traveled all day. I get it. It was a crazy time. His family's from the Florida area, so, he was probably tired, probably going crazy, probably excited, nervous, all that stuff. But there's no reason why he shouldn't have been in the lineup today. Why is Vogelbach batting behind Alonso? Not only do you have Alonso struggling, who looks like he's dead tired, you got Vogelbach, who hasn't hit a fly ball in about a month. It's crazy to me. Vientos should be in the lineup. It makes no sense to me. He don't even start Ruff anymore with lefties anymore. It's just pointless. Ruff did not make no sense. And even if Ruff hit a grand slam, you would have said Met fans would have been like, hey, Buck knows what he's doing. He's a great manager. It was still a bad move, no matter if he got a hit or not. It wasn't a smart move. You got the kid on the bench who, listen, if you think this kid, like I said earlier, if Epler said this, if the Mets didn't get a DH at the deadline, they trust Vientos to step into that role. Well, if you trust him then and don't trust him now, that makes no sense. Then you should have traded them for what this team really needed, which was a big bat at the deadline and a reliever. Everybody's like, oh, you can't trade Vientos. Now, I'm not saying that everybody was running to get Vientos at the deadline. I'm not saying that. But Epler was so proud about keeping his top 19 prospects where, yes, Givens has shown that he actually had a pulse and looks actually decent as of late, but Givens is not a good reliever. He's still not a good reliever. And you let guys like Trey Mancini go to Houston, who technically didn't really need another offensive bat, but they got him. And Trey Mancini would have been the perfect guy for this lineup. Bats 260, 270, not a big power guy, but can hit a home run here and there. It makes no sense. And now Vientos, who plays every day in the minors, is now sitting for 2 days straight, doesn't even get a chance. And I want to see, and I guarantee you it's probably going to happen tonight. If the Mets go out to a 7 or 8-0 lead and they bring in a lefty and Vogelbach's up, they might bring Vientos in that spot, which makes no sense to me. So you give the guy no confidence, and it's not even about production at this point when it comes to Ruff or Vientos. Wouldn't you want to give a little bit of confidence to Vientos saying, hey, we brought you up for a reason. You're the big bat. We know you're not good defensively, but this is why you're up here. Put him in. It makes no sense. And on top of that, you had other guys on the bench. You had a full bench, yet you bring in Givens as a pinch runner for Vogelbach, which makes no sense at all, because all you need is Givens running first to third and pops his hamstring, and now you're down a reliever. Not saying, Givens is going to make or break the bridge to Diaz, but at the same time, it makes no sense. Now, I don't like to kill Buck, but lately, with the Pittsburgh game, the Nationals game, with the relievers bringing them in, we're bringing in Deoka and bringing in Medina in 2-run ball games when you're playing the Nationals and the Pirates. You can't bring those guys in, especially when you're in a division race. Makes no sense to me. And then yesterday, when it came to Mark Vientos, like I honestly thought, Vientos is coming up in this spot, no doubt about it. And it didn't happen. So when you don't make those type of decisions, and I'm not going to go into Buck about the playoffs with Zach Britton not bringing him in when he was your best reliever and your closer in the playoffs a few, what is it, about 4, 5, 6 years now. It's I'm not going to go on that because I think good managers and great managers, I think, learn from their mistakes. And I'm not going crazy with, I guess I understand why he brought in Medina in that point, because there were certain guys that weren't available at that time, but you still needed to win a ball game. But let's be honest. No doubt there's been a little bit of criticism that has been going to Buck's way, and he's finally seen the media last night after the game ask him a couple of times, why didn't you pinch hit Vientos instead of Ruff? And Buck got a little testy, got a little mad about that. Well, you know what? That's the first time I heard the media go after Buck in regards to criticism. And I like that because it made no sense. And Buck's answer made no sense, where he says, we wanted to go with the veteran. We wanted to gain his confidence up. So what do? So you kill Ruff, who probably won't be on this team next year, who isn't any good, clearly, or maybe he's just a guy who can't play in New York. I mean, that's actually possible. Why does nobody bring that up? And you got a kid in Vientos who you brought up, who probably thought, I'm going to be coming up in this spot if Vogelback walks, and you don't do it. Well, that kills his confidence. Now, you're telling me when Marte comes back, whenever that may be, you're going to send Vientos back down? Like, so you're not going to play him at all, and you're going to give him spot starts here and there? Makes no sense. Yeah, I get the fact that he doesn't have good decisions in the postseason, but you know what? Even the Dodgers won a World Series with Dave Roberts making terrible decisions as well. So I don't think it's always the manager that causes that. The players play on the field. Now, of course, if in the ninth inning, if Buck Showalter in a save situation brings in Seth Lugo instead of Edwin Diaz, well, you got criticism. I don't think he's going to make that mistake. And Buck, afterwards, in a couple of years after that whole situation with Britton, he also said that if he would have had to do it over, he would have put in Britton in that situation. He knew he made a mistake. As long as he learned from that, that's fine. Yeah, but you can say the same thing hype with Aaron Boone. Like, let's be honest. When you have the talent that the Dodgers have, the manager doesn't really matter in the season. You're still going to win 100 games with him. When it comes down to it in pressure situations, we've seen it time and time again. Leaving in pitchers, starting pitching too long, leaving a reliever in for too long, taking them out too early. Roberts has done that for many years, and I don't want to go about records, all right? Because I honestly think that if certain teams have better managers, I think they would be better in the playoffs. I think Aaron Boone is a disaster waiting to happen in the postseason. The same thing with Dave Roberts. Dave Roberts has so much talent on that team where they win division titles almost every year, get to the playoffs, get into NLCSs, get into World Series, and then Dave Roberts comes up with a blunder or two when it comes to the whole aspect of making the right decisions. Not saying that Buck's going to make all the right decisions. I don't know. We haven't seen Buck in the playoffs in a long time. Now, he might make all the right decisions, but that doesn't mean the Mets are going to win. The same thing with Dave Roberts. Dave Roberts can push all the right buttons and make all the right moves. If the players don't perform, what are you going to do? If Dave Roberts has Craig Kimbrell as his closer, and he puts him in the ninth inning in the save situation, and Kimbrell blows it, you can't blame Dave Roberts because Kimbrell lately has been good, but overall his last couple of years hasn't been really good. So the same thing with Diaz. If Buck puts Diaz in the ninth inning in the same situation and Diaz blows it, what are you going to do? You can't do nothing about it. So unfortunately, it's not always just the decision the decision the manager makes. Well, I don't know that because Buck made one bad decision. Dave Roberts had made at least 4 in his time with the Dodgers. And you see it so many times. And again, Buck could just be not a good postseason manager. Again, we don't know that. I don't think Dave Roberts learns from his mistakes. I think Dave Roberts, it's actually, you have enough of a track record to see Dave Roberts doesn't learn from his mistakes. And I don't know if that's going to change. You never know. Maybe he just has an epiphany and to be like, hey, I figured it out. We don't know that. But there's a lot of guys in Major League Baseball managers. We got Aaron Boone. We got Buck Showalter, who made a terrible decision not bringing in Britton. But that was one decision. Yeah, I ain't going to lie, JD. I'm a big fan of Frozen. I love that song. So, Kimbrel, he's got some huge cojones to come out to that song. That's the best part. I'm not gonna lie. I think Kimbrel's a disaster waiting to happen, but I give him all the credit in the world coming out to that song. When I was watching the Dodger game. I don't know who they were playing when he first put that song, his walkout song, and I'm listening. I'm like, that's Let It Go, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And I was so happy that he did that because not only does it shows that he has balls to do that, but to come out to that and everybody probably laughing at you. Dodger fans, probably love it now because he's pitching better. But when they first started playing that, everybody's probably laughing in LA. But even on top of that, you look at the fact that he's been pitching well ever since he changed his song. You know what? It might be something. I know Diaz in the past with Seattle played narco and nobody really cared about it. Well, it's because nobody cares about Seattle. Nobody pays attention at all. So Diaz played narco in Seattle. There's been many videos from him coming out to narco, but again, nobody took it to a level, and that was the same year where he had all those saves. So let's be honest, the narco got hot when he came to New York and pitched well. So again, there's so many variables to the playoffs, clutch hitting, there's guys on every team, the Dodgers, the Braves, the Mets, that in their careers have been clutch in postseasons. Sometimes the managers blow it, like Boone, Roberts, Buck. They all shown situations. Obviously, Boone and Roberts have a lot more opportunities to blow because they've been in the playoffs a lot more than Buck has recently over the last 10 years. But listen, it's still I think it always comes down to talent up until certain parts of the game. And I do like the fact that I think Buck was more of a hard ass in Baltimore than he is now. And I honestly think that, I haven't seen Dave Roberts make changes in his decision making every time when he makes mistakes. When you make a mistake this year and didn't bring in that reliever, the following year you make the playoffs, you should definitely learn from that mistake. The same thing with Aaron Boone. And that's the biggest problem. Why I think the Dodgers haven't won more and why the Yankees can't get over the hump and beat past the Astros. Because I think when Boone and the Yankees face the Astros, they always think that, they got cheated. And yes, Astros cheated. But guess what? The Yankees were cheating that year too. They were using watches. They were using other sign stealings as well. They were just the Astros were a lot better than doing it than the Yankees. But again, it wasn't that the Yankees didn't pitch well. They couldn't score, home or on the road. So it is what it is at this point. But we're going to get to the lineups and the pitching matchups today. We got a goodie today. We got our boy, Jacob deGrom, on the mound. Let me just share my screen and give me 1 second. Hopefully you like the new little gig with the background with all the retired numbers for the Mets. Obviously, Ralph Kiner, William Shea, and of course, Jackie Robinson. And I did also put up there Willie Mays, who is not officially on top of Citi Field yet, but will be very soon. Let me just share my screen. Just give me a second, guys. Alrighty, there we go. Let me just fix it up a little bit. So with the Mets and the Cubs, obviously, pitching matchups for today, I hope you guys know it is. What the hell is his name? I forgot. Sampson. Was it Adrian Sampson? I think I wrote that down. Adrian Sampson for the Cubs. Excuse me. They changed the game day right into me. So I kind of lost track of the Cubs starter. But it's Adrian Sampson pitching for the Cubs. And, of course, Jacob deGrom pitching for the Mets with his 1.66 ERA. Ever since he came back, he's been excellent. Even when he doesn't have his stuff, he still finds a way to keep the Mets in the ballgame. So, with that said, let's look at the Mets lineup for tonight. And we're going to start with Brandon Nimmo leading off playing center field. Francisco Lindor, shortstop, batting second. Jeff McNeil, right field, batting third. Cleaning up, Pete Alonso playing first base. Daniel Vogelbach, DH and batting fifth. Mark Canha, left field, batting sixth. Eduardo Escobar, who was raging hot with a 10-game hitting streak, playing third, batting seventh. And Luis Guillorme getting a start, coming back from the IL, finally playing second base. I love that double play tandem with Lindor and Guillorme batting eighth. And James McCann, who has been a lot hotter, finally got his average up to 210. Shockingly, James McCann catching, batting ninth. So that is your lineup for our New York Mets. And we'll look quickly at the Cubs lineup. We got McKinstry, shortstop, batting first. Suzuki, right field, batting second. Reyes, DH and batting third. Happ, left field, batting cleanup. Ortega, center field, batting fifth, who hit a bomb yesterday. Gomes, catching, batting sixth. Wisdom, third base, batting seventh. Rivas, first base, batting eighth. And batting ninth, Bodie, second base. And that is your Cubs lineup versus Jacob deGrom. Once again, when Jacob deGrom is on the mound, you always have the Mets as a possible win in the book. But the Mets also have to score for Jacob deGrom, and they didn't do that yesterday. They left, I believe, 11 men left on base yesterday, and God knows how many in scoring position. So that's unfortunate, and it sucks. But we've seen this in Game 1 of the National Series, Game 1 of the Pittsburgh Series, Game 1 in Miami, and also yesterday against the Cubs. For some reason, Game 1 of a series, they've been struggling lately. I don't know what it is, but that's been the case for the last 4 series, and the Mets find a way to win series. And listen, we got a break yesterday that for the last 3 games against the Braves. They finally go on a 3-game losing streak again. They haven't had a 4-game losing streak all year, just like the Mets, and I don't expect the Braves to lose the 4th in a row, because I do think they're just like the Mets, where when it comes down, when their back's against the wall, they figure it out, and the Braves have done it all year, so I don't expect them to lose. If they lose, great. We're at least going to stay a game and a half over 500, but we can actually be 2.5 games over 500. And what I like about the Mets playing before the Braves play is that if the Mets win, you put pressure on the Braves. The Braves are scoreboard watching just as much as the Mets are scoreboard watching. And look, there's no mistake that the Braves are one of the best teams in baseball. And could we stop for a second about power rankings? Power rankings every week or every 2 weeks is so stupid, because if you look at the records of teams that are in the top 5 in power rankings all across the board, I've seen people on YouTube doing power rankings, ESPN, CBS, MLB, everybody is making all these power rankings, and I appreciate the work they put into it. But when you keep on looking at guys, at teams saying, well, why are the Braves in front of the Mets? The Braves are 3, the Mets are 4. I get you go based on the last 2 weeks, but the Braves still haven't had passed the Mets once this year in first place with a half a game. And that's why I don't like power rankings every 2 weeks or every week. Every month, all right, I could see doing, you get 25 to 30 games in a month. You want to do a power ranking every month? Cool. And I do like power rankings when it goes monthly, and I will be starting to do that in 2023, because I don't like weekly or every 2 week power rankings. I think it's hilarious to me, because Listen, in the last 2 weeks, how can you put the Yankees in the top 5 when they've been one of the worst teams in baseball? And all of a sudden they played a good series against the Rays, and now they're top 5 again? That makes no sense to me. So, RM, thank you for the donation and the super chat. Keep it up. Keep up the good work. You've become one of my favorite YouTube channels in the past few months. Vintage DeGrom tonight, 8 innings, 12 Ks. I'd like that, and I appreciate the support. And I'm glad that you found the channel and you keep on coming back for more, because that's the most important thing. Why in the hell? Roberto, listen. For 20 minutes I went on about this. With that, I don't get it. I don't know. I don't know if it's Buck. I don't know if it's Epler. I really don't know. The Mets have egg on their face. They could have brought Vientos up 2 months before the deadline when Dominic Smith and JD Davis was not doing anything. Vientos could have came up. They didn't do it. All right, I'm not going to go crazy. Vientos was struggling a little bit at the time in around the June area. Fine. But coming towards the deadline, Epler has egg on his face. He said, if we can't get DH help with a big bat at the deadline, we trust Vientos to come up and be that DH guy. Well, when is it? Why do the Mets have trouble playing young kids when they call them up? It makes no sense to me at all. I'm not saying that what the Braves do, the Mets philosophy should be the same. Not saying that you're just going to throw kids in the lineup and they're going to play good. But you bring a kid up who plays every day, and now he's not playing every day. Like, one, that messes up his confidence, and two, what the hell? Like, this kid is just feeling like, yesterday, I guarantee Vientos in his mind, though, I'm coming up in this spot. And when you bring up Ruff, who's been 1 for 33 and strikes out, seems like every time he comes up at the plate, and Buck's quote afterwards saying, "Oh, I want to gain some confidence for Ruff." Why? So you kill Vientos' confidence, not putting him up in that spot, who is a guy who might be a part of this team next year as our everyday DH, or a guy who might be a bench or role player in Ruff, who, yeah, he has a couple of years left, but I don't think Ruff's going to be on this team next year, to be honest with you. With all the guys you're going to be bringing up, if Alvarez is going to be the one coming up next year, if you're going to have Beatty come up this year, if Vientos is going to finally get a shot, we've been hearing about Vientos for 2 years, and that's all you hear is Epler gloating that he kept his top 19 prospects, yet every time you bring up a guy, you don't play him. Then what's the point? It makes no sense. So, once again, yeah, Hebrew, that's a great point of Willie Randolph and Julio Franco. I get Buck loves his veterans, but, and some people, a lot of Met fans were 50-50. Some wanted Ruff in that spot. You wanted to go with the veteran, but I'm sorry. Vientos has been raking in the minor leagues. He finally gets the opportunity to come up after he should have came up with the club in the beginning of the year, but they didn't do that. Again, if the Mets front office or organization does not like Vientos as much as they say they do, then why bring up the kid? Why waste his time, to be honest with you? But it's 7 o'clock. The Mets game is about to start in about 10 minutes or so. Once again, guys, don't forget to please hit on that like button. You know the deal. I like to get 100 likes before the 5th inning ends and 150 likes by the time the stream is over. So with that said, please hit on that like button. Take a second. If you're new to the channel, you just subscribed. If you're on Twitter and you just came over to YouTube, obviously most of you heard that I'm finally live on Twitter. So if you're watching on Twitter, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget just to take a second to go to the channel itself and subscribe, and also hit on that like button. So Mets, Cubs, DeGrom on the mound. Again, it's a bad Cubs team. It was look, the Mets got people on. They were getting a lot of hits. They were getting walks. They had tons of base runners. They got to put the bat on the ball. It's very simple. It's what they did for the first 4.5 months of the year. When they got people on, they found a way to get runs in, sack flies, productive outs, bunting guys over. They continued to find ways to get those runs in. Recently, I would say over the last 3 weeks or so, they have not. Let's be honest. The Braves in the last 3.5 to 4 weeks have 2 3-game losing streaks. The Mets could have took advantage of that, but during that 3-game losing streak for the Braves, both times, they lost games in between that time while they couldn't gain more ground on the Braves, excuse me. But the Mets have 20 games left. I doubt we're going to end up being 7 games with 17 to go, because that's almost mathematically impossible at this point in the next week or so. But let's be honest. The Mets have the division in their hands. It's their division to lose. It's very simple, right? They're a game and a half up. The Braves are reeling right now. They're having trouble scoring. And you see what happens. They faced Gibson last night, and he shut them down. And Strider, I'm not gonna go crazy. I know Brave fans, think Strider's the next DeGrom. They should hold their horses on that. But Kyle Wright was supposed to start yesterday, and because he had some type of arm injury or he felt something in his arm and they went for MRI, that might be a big loss for the Braves. But Strider had to start on short rest, or not necessarily short rest because of the day off, but start on a day when he wasn't expected to start. He didn't pitch great. He didn't pitch necessarily good, but he pitched well enough for the Braves to win. They just didn't score. Again, it happens. And the Mets didn't take advantage of it. We could have been up 2.5 games, and we could have also maybe gave a rest to Alonso today, and maybe put Vientos. Vientos plays first base. I would put him on that first. If you could put Darren Ruff at first base and in right field, you could put Vientos at first base today and give Alonso a day off. So with that said, we got about 5 minutes or so until game time. Get all your questions, everything you need to get in. And Grant, I saw you in the comments. Just so you know, the package that I sent you came back to me. Remember I said it was stuck in Missouri? Well, it came back to me. I don't know what happened. The address was correct that you gave me. I don't know if they lost it and they panicked and they just sent it back to the returning address. I got it back. So I'm going to resend it again and hope for better this time. It's sitting right on the desk. So I don't know what the hell happened, but clearly Missouri messed up. So bad job by whoever was in Missouri at the post office. So once again, I'm going to try again. Luckily, I don't have to pay again because they screwed up and the shipping label still works. So I don't know what happened. So they screwed up in Missouri and I got it back. But sooner or later, let's hope we get it there before the season ends. That'd be nice. Maybe even during the playoffs. But I'll send it again. I'll send it either tomorrow or Thursday. What's today? Wednesday or Thursday. I'll send it, and hopefully it gets to you this time. So we got game day up. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget, let me know where you're from, where you're listening, where you're watching from. Probably new subscribers that are checking out on Twitter right now and on Facebook as well. Make sure you go to the channel and just hit on that like button as well, and also subscribe to the channel. Yeah, well, you know what? Listen, I could have showed you, and Gary, I did get I think that's you, Gary, the check that you sent. Thank you very much. But again, I could have showed you the comments I got when the Braves took first place for about 24 hours in that half game. The comments I got, and I can assure you they weren't very nice. I had people calling me listen boy, and that's one thing I just don't like. Number one, all right, I am white, but it is a racist form of saying something like that to certain people. So I don't like that, number one. And number two, all the comments I got that were really bad, and trust me, I screenshot all of them. Because if you're going to troll the channel and you're going to put racist remarks or sexist remarks or just, if you want to root for your team and, troll a Met fan that way and you just want to say Mets suck, Braves are winning, fine. But when you go to the aspect of trying to demoralize people or call people names for no reason, you damn sure know I am screenshotting. The Mets win. I don't even care. I didn't block you. I don't know what happened. I was wondering. I'm like, Ken's emailing me saying my stream is not up, but yet I got 90 people in the stream. I'm like, Ken, what's going on here? I think Ken blocked my channel. I think he went over to Wardy just for like a day. That's messed up, Ken. But yeah. So don't get me wrong. There was now there's some Braves fans that had really nice comments. They said, hey, the Mets are a good team. The Braves are a good team. Let the best man win. But the Braves are in first place right now. And that's fine. You could say that. But there was some, and I screenshotted them because I'm telling you right now, the Mets, look, if the Braves win the division, I'm still going to call them out because of the fact that there's no reason to be racist. There's no reason to be sexist. There's no reason to call people names. And you guys are here in the stream the last time when the Braves were beaten, I think, what was it, Seattle, and the guy was calling me fat boy and this and that and redhead or whatever the hell it was. And it's funny to me because they only show up when their team wins and the Mets lose. So that's what I do. And that's we spoke about this in just tiring how many times I spoke about bandwagon fans. That goes for Mets fans, that goes for Braves fans, Yankee fans, Dodger fans, all those fans. A lot of the fans show up when their team wins and the team that they're chasing or the team that's in their division lose, and then they show up. Tomas, yes, we do. We got a great chance with Jacob deGrom on the mound. The game's going to start in about 3 minutes, so we're just waiting until it happens. You know, KT, listen, there's racist people everywhere. Georgia, New York, Florida, Texas, California, it doesn't matter. But the fact that they put evidence on a comment and it's there for everybody to see. Now, I have to take them down because YouTube requires me to, or I get in trouble. I'm not going to hurt my channel because people are stupid. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to go crazy with that. I did screenshot, I think it was 4 or 5 of Braves fans that said racist comments, sexist comments, and called names that shouldn't be said to anybody. So there are screenshots, and I'm telling you right now, the Mets win the division, they're going to get a mouthful from me. And I will go live during Mets Talk Live just to call them out on purpose. And not only for my subscribers to know, but for Braves fans who are actually good Braves fans who show up and are actually rooting for their team the right way, and you want to talk crap about the Mets, that's fine. But don't make it personal. Because when you make it personal, I can do that as well. So make sure even if you're on a Braves channel, Mets fans, because look, you got to remember, when you subscribe to my channel and other Mets channels, and you go to a Braves channel, Yankees channel, Dodgers channel, whatever, and you start saying remarks that might be offending somebody or racist or sexist, it looks bad on the channels that you subscribe to. So I want to make sure that, like I said, I blocked enough people when they said racist, sexist, or vulgar remarks because there's no need for that. All the need is the fact that root for your team, and that's it. So Jacob deGrom's coming on the mound. Just let me know, guys, if you can hear the sound of the game. Obviously, Simple Man is going to be playing. So let me just know if you guys can hear it. And the lockout, Joe.
He realized he didn't have his good breaking stuff. Threw predominantly fastball.
Can everybody hear it?
Everything going for him. He's just the best pitcher in the game.
All right, so the game's about to start. Once again, guys, hit on that like button. We've got 108 in the stream right now. Let's go Mets. And let's see what deGrom can do with the Cubs.
John Combs behind the plate. David Bodie at second base. Their starting shortstop, Nico Horner.
Let's go.
Zach McKinstry will start at short for the first time in his career. And that's the group to go up against deGrom.
Here we go. Here we go. Can everybody hear it?
You're not seeing cross-eyed here. Those numbers are off the charts.
First pitch to Zach McKinstry is a fastball.
And that's a strike at 99. It is. The crowd is disappointing. But there was a lot of rain in the forecast. I don't know if people shied away, but everybody can hear it good.
Coming out early here, establishing fastball in at least in McKinstry.
It is shocking on deGrom Day. But you know what? The weather didn't look good. And there was a lot of floods in New York as well. So that might have stopped a lot of people as well. Nice pitch. Curveball by deGrom. All right. Hey, Sean.
15% as opposed to 7% for the season. He threw his changeup more, 11% as opposed to 5% for the season. 1-2 McKinstry, and he bounces a slider And it's 2-2.
I looked for Jake after the last start, Garen. You mentioned in Pittsburgh he did not have his.
Little information about Max Scherzer. He's set to throw off the mound tomorrow, either in a sim game or a minor league rehab start. So Scherzer's making his way back.
2-2 coming. And he gets it on the hands of McKinstry, who fouls it off. Jake threw 91 pitches in 7 innings in that last start Wednesday in Pittsburgh. Give up no runs, 3 hits, a walk, 8 strikeouts, an easy 10-0 win in his second game of that doubleheader. And curveball outside, 3-2.
All right,
so
full count.
Different game plan early for DeGrom. A couple of curveballs in the first at bat. And a 3-2 count to McKinstry with Seiya Suzuki on deck.
All right, so Jacob deGrom. McKinstry is having a good at-bat against DeGrom right here.
Your Lexus Metropolitan defense. McCann gets back-to-back starts behind the dish. Yorme returns to Segunda Base.
KTU, pretty cool.
McNeil gets his 4th start in right field.
Fly ball along the left field line.
All right, let's see if Cannon can get to it, and he does. All right, there we go.
First out of the night. 8 pitches to McKinstry in that first at bat before he flies out. And so DeGrom has his first out of the night.
He's got his good fastball, what I've seen. He's got a lot of zip on it. He's tied up McKinstry there.
Seiya Suzuki, 2 hits last night. He's been a hot hitter over the last 24 games. Suzuki hitting .333. First year playing in the big leagues after 9 years in the Japanese major leagues. Takes a slider on the corner for a strike, 0-1.
Steve, I didn't do well in golf. All right, 100. Steve, I'll get into it a little bit after the inning.
Jake's deception is look at the beautiful motion, the ease with which he throws, and then the ball leaves his hands and explodes.
Jake's actually got a losing lifetime record against the Cubs. 10 starts, 2-3, 3.13, but that does not.
And I also am doing my scorecard tonight, guys. So don't mind me with my head down.
Championship series in 2015. 1-2 coming.
Oh, he went. Yeah, there we go. 2 outs.
So Suzuki punched out by the first base off
2 outs.
And Jake's got his first strikeout of the night.
2 outs. Oh, and by the way, Mr. Met said this is the Mets record. TMWR, LFGM.
I would tend to agree with you. Jake will take the results.
Yeah, KTU, freaking Dak out probably a month or maybe 2. Yeah.
Tonight. Reyes 0 for 4 last night. And loss yelling from the Cubs dugout.
I'm not famous at all. I promise you that. I try to talk to everybody I can. I gave everybody my email, and certain people I gave my number to. So I don't mind. If I can find you at a game, I'll be at a game with you hanging out. There's no problem with that. I'm not one to not talk to people that enjoy my channel, to be honest. Well, it depends on the pitch count. I don't think he's going to pitch more than 100 pitches. So it depends on the pitch count, not really innings. Come on, Jake. 14 pitches for DeGrom in the first. Nice slider. Yeah, it's either going to be Trevor Williams or David Peterson. Come on, Jake.
That's what happened with last start. He was not able to start the ball in the zone. It was fading out of the zone. The Pirates laid off a lot of the sliders.
Boogie, that's true. It happens with some famous people, especially athletes. I don't know if tomorrow's a big game. Goodbye. Strike 3. 2 strikeouts for DeGrom. And the Mets are going to the bottom of the first. No score. All right. Don't mind me. Once again, guys, I am doing my scorecard, my little Bob Carpenter's scorebook. I think a lot of people know about that scorebook. It's one of the best ones out there. even though I used to make my own. But, what are you going to do? It happens. I'd rather have this. It's a little easier to carry around. So we're going to the bottom of the first. Mets, Cubs, no score. Mets are coming up in the bottom of the first. All right. So, Steve, about my golf outing with my father. Put it this way. First hole, 480 yards. I'm left-handed, so I hit it far. I hit it 217 yards, but I sliced it far left into the shrubs. Like, I literally almost hit it out of the golf course. First shot, it started out straight, and then poof, first shot. So my first shot, I did find the ball, so I didn't have to take a shot off there. But I found the ball. I had to really get into the shrubs there, but I got it out, got it back to the fairway. I bogeyed because, my irons are not very good yet. I'm working on it, but I do have a nice driver shot. But when it comes to irons, I have a problem with that. I'm pretty good putter, but irons, on my fairway putters, man, my irons are just tough. I'm really good with my 7-iron. Other than that, with my 5 or 6 or my lob wedge, sand wedge, I'm still learning on those. But I what the hell did I shoot? I don't remember. I got to look at my card, but I played pretty well. For the most part, I played okay. The first golf course I went to with my dad, I did pretty well. Yesterday was terrible. But we'll talk about that. All right, guys. So bottom of the first, Brandon Nimmo leading off. Adrian Sampson on the mound for the Cubs. 3.76 ERA, 16 games, 1-5 record. Here we go. Had a great time, Steve.
In the minor leagues, in AAA, his first start was in early May.
Brandon Nimmo 0 for 5 last night, and Sampson's first sinker is low for ball 1. Sampson was actually placed on waivers by the Cubs back in May, claimed by the Mariners, who then DFA'd him, and the Cubs re-signed him to a minor league deal. And he's worked his way into the rotation. He's now making his 15th start. And the sinker misses away, and it's 2-0.
Come on.
Sampson's certainly been well-traveled.
Christian, I don't know. I'm not a great golfer, and I started golfing during the pandemic because that was the only thing that was open sports-wise. So that was fun.
Gave up 2 runs, 6 hits.
Ball 3. All right. I used to like miniature golf, but now that I play, I played on a couple of 9 holes. Then I played on 18 holes, so I like it a lot more. Hey, inebriated, what's up, buddy? Come on, Brandon.
Fastball for a strike, and it's 3-1 to Nimmo. Lindor on deck, McNeil behind him.
Joe, definitely not.
A hard thrower, as you can see.
I'm not even Phil Mickelson.
2 is about to go top out. Sliders and changeups. About keeping hitters off balance.
And that's ball 4, leadoff walk for Nimmo. There we go.
So Brandon, who was blank last night, gets aboard to start this game.
And tonight's Stop and Shop Cup defense was in that third. McKinstry, his first start at shortstop, major league start at shortstop. Had 120 games at short in the minor leagues. And the same trio out there in the outfield. Happ, of course, was an all-star.
Happ's had a great defensive year. 12 defensive runs saved, second among National League outfielders behind Mookie Betts. Here's Francisco Lindor, 2 hits last night, including his 23rd home run, which tied the Mets club record for home runs by a shortstop in a season. Mark that was set by his Dribble Cabrera in 2016.
All right.
Has been out with 92
So Nimmo leadoff walk.
His career high that he set back in 2018 with Cleveland.
And he's got his.
See what Lindor can do in the 2-hole.
100 ribeye steaks. That would be outstanding.
Ken, no Braves fans. If the Mets start winning, they won't show up. And the Met game will be almost over when the Braves start. So they won't have the time to do so unless they're losing the Mets. Then they'll come up. And it is a night game tomorrow. Uh-oh, that might be gone. Oh, where the hell did he hit that? Off the end of the bat? Oh, okay. Sorry about that, guys. That looked like a lot better. Yep. Keith just said it, end of the bat.
need to cut down the carbs.
1 out and 1 out. Here's McNeil.
Once again, guys, if you missed the intro of today's live stream, I had the little 1986 Let's Go Mets Go song rolling out for the intro. So hopefully, if you missed it, check it out later if you want. It was pretty cool. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it.
A lot more runs than the 56 he's had this year.
Well, he's on the IL, so I don't think he's coming off until the Brewers series, if I'm not mistaken. Probably after the homestand. Well, I think McCann lately. I just don't get it with McCann. Like, he wasn't this bad of a hitter in Chicago, which is weird. You know, he was at least a 230 hitter, at least. All right, Jeff, let's go. Get it done. Bat in third today. Yeah. Got my Tom Seaver little screensaver there. Then, of course, I got my other screensaver with Scherzer in the ground. Can't complain on the phone. And once again, guys, by the end of the season, I will have a lot of phone screensavers and wallpapers that you guys can use from the channel. Obviously, I'm making them, a lot of them now, so you guys can enjoy those. I did see. Yeah, that was the only report, Christian, about his swelling going down, which is good to see. He's saying it's feeling better, which is good. But it's more about that bone healing in place. That's why he's got the splint on. Come on, Jeff.
And that's what Jeff does so well. That pitch was almost in the dirt, and he manages, one of the best I've seen, in uniform and up here in the booth, getting a piece of the tough pitches and extending.
Oh, Joe, those are some long-ass lockout streams, man. 6, 7, 8, 9 hours.
It certainly helps, but I think that even if he didn't choke up.
I had like 3-course meals with you guys. You saw me eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Come on, Jeff.
Sampson up in the count 1-2. And McNeil pulls one through.
Oh, I hit Brandon Nimmo in the leg. Damn it. That would have been a base hit. Can't do nothing there.
McNeil gets credit for a hit, and that's a bad break for the Mets. Because that ball appeared to be headed for right field.
Ball's hit hard. Trying to get out of the way, just couldn't. What is your feeling on the rule?
Terrible. It's a terrible rule.
I think it should be no at bat to the hitter, like a walk.
It's an antiquated rule, and I don't understand why it ever existed. But
Two
I
outs.
agree with you. I think it should be like a non-existent at bat.
So funny. I've been doing the scorecard a long time, but I don't know how to score that call. Is it a out to the first baseman?
He's got a 6-game hitting streak going. But
I'm curious.
Mostly one base at a time for Alonso. 33 home runs, 109 RBIs for the year. And when you look at Adrian Sampson and the strides that he's made this year, the biggest thing he's done is cut down on his home run numbers. For his entire career, Sampson was a guy who gave up 2 home runs per 9 innings, which is a really high rate. This year he's under 1 home run per 9 innings. So it's been a big step forward for him. Now facing a legitimate home run threat in Alonso.
Come on, Pete.
Pete goes back with a sinker, and it's 2-0. Schwarber continues to lead the league in home runs.
He's kind of hit a little bit of a power drought of late, and he's kind of slipped behind those guys in front of him. For a long while, it was neck and neck.
KTO, I'm not sure about that part. 2-0 pitch to Pete Alonso coming up.
It's been a little down in the power department.
Ball 3.
Sampson misses inside, falls behind 3-0.
I think it's, even if the San Diego lost, I'm not sure if they lost, but I think every game that goes down as well, it still goes down a little bit. But let me see.
Doesn't have a very big lead at first.
San Diego didn't play yesterday. And Alonso, goodbye. Stay fair. Yeah. Oh.
He didn't see it. He's still trying.
He thought he had a home run. He's around second base. But that ball ducked away at the last
I
moment.
don't know if it went over the foul pole. We will see.
And it ducked outside the foul pole at the very last moment.
I've never seen someone hit a foul ball, home run. And Buck, here comes Buck.
All right, they're going to challenge this. They might win over the foul pole.
Doing the complete circuit around the bases.
Well, he's going to complete it just in case, and he's going to step on home plate right now.
Let's see.
Let's see.
Definitely went foul, Keith.
I couldn't tell here.
Yeah.
Foul ball.
Oh, yes.
Yep,
Yes.
just
One
foul.
foot.
Yep.
Ah.
It was definitely foul.
Boy, that thing really.
It really hooked. Yeah. Because the where
Damn.
Happ was going back, he clearly expected it to be a fair ball. He was about 10 to 15 feet into fair territory, but then the ball just kept on hooking. The umpires will get together to decide whether they need to send it to the replay center.
I mean, be firm in your judgment.
Ryan Lindor was the third base umpire who made the call, and it appeared to be the correct call.
It was foul, guys, by a foot. Come on.
I'm not sure what this serves. I mean, if you're unsure, send it to the replay center. That's what it's there for. And that's what Glass is going to do.
Nope.
And he just said foul ball. I don't know if he said they're sending it. Yeah, they're sending it to the replay center. Microphone not working. So that's Marvin Hudson and Jerry Lane, who are the crew chiefs.
I don't know. When they showed it, it showed that the ball looked like it crossed the foul pole. So it looks foul, but who knows? We shall see. It's umpire review. It is not a Mets challenge. It's an umpire review. Because clearly the third base umpire is not 100% sure, but he made the call.
Well, no.
It was the right call. Yes.
Foul ball.
Well, Glass never got his mic to work, but it was a foul ball.
Foul ball. It looked foul on the replay. He swing 3-0. That would have been a nice way for Alonso. That ball hooked a lot.
He turned them loose and he missed by about a foot.
Damn. Couldn't hit the pole. Jesus.
Scraping the outside of the pole.
Sure did.
All right, so Pete's got to stay
So Sampson
in with himself. Can't overdo it here. That was a nice, calm swing on 3-0. Let's see if he doesn't fish for a slider here, which Sampson will probably throw him.
Just want to keep it away from the big slugger.
Yeah, he can hit about to right too.
16 pitches for Sampson in the first.
McNeil at first.
2 outs. No score.
And the 3-1 to Alonso is
And
outside.
ball 4. All right. Pete's pissed. He threw his bat.
The ball four, not even close.
He was not happy.
No, after. And Pete is getting a little incensed.
Oh, Pete's yelling at the pitcher.
Or was he gesturing at Sampson? I couldn't tell.
Not Sampson.
What's he upset about? They checked it. They checked it again. I think it's Sampson that he was jawing at, not the umpires, Keith. And I'm not sure why. I don't know if Sampson said something to him.
The third base umpire, Ryan O'Nora, kind of walked toward me. He thought he was looking.
Yeah, but it wasn't him that he was gesturing at.
I don't know what transpired.
I think, Keith, that Sampson might have been upset with Pete for circling the bases. Is that possible?
Oh, yes.
And then somebody said something, and Pete then spiked the bat, and maybe Sampson said something else. And no,
Pete's not.
yeah, so there's. That's definitely heated.
I like Pete showing a little bit of fire there. I like it.
Outside, so Sampson has walked to.
Come on, Bogey. You got to do something here. Get it done.
But he's got a chance to get through the inning, much as Javier Assad did last night when the Mets had the bases loaded in the first inning and did not get a run. 2 out and 2 on for Vogelback. And Daniel takes a slider for a strike, and it's 1-1.
And just by the way, Garrett, this next pitch will be another first inning, 20 pitches.
Like we said last night, 42% of the games this year, the opposition starter has thrown at least 20 pitches in the first inning against the Mets. Roll the back, rolls over one on the changeup, and it's 1-2.
I like to see the emotion from Pete.
Back over 2 last night.
It might put Pete head in the game a little bit more, in my opinion.
Let's see Pete get angry on a baseball field very often. So that certainly took us by surprise.
I've never seen that job before. It's a long season.
Come on, Vogt.
Race. Turner's afraid.
What's it coming to Vogelback, and he taps one softly. Sampson off the bat, should have time. Sidearms, and got it there on target.
Well, once again, a ground ball from Vogie. Jesus. All right, the Mets do not score once again in the first inning with runners on. Another pitcher that the Mets face that throws another 20 pitches in the first inning. I guess if you want to look at a positive, it's that. 20 pitches in the first inning for Sampson, but again, another reason why Vogelback, all he does is either strike out or ground out, and Ruff always gets out. So again, it's going to take Vogelback just completely not doing anything and Ruff still not doing anything. So I don't know what's going to happen here with this DH spot, but it's got to change very quickly. Vientos should be playing. Again, Vientos could have struck out on 3 pitches, but again, I'd rather him strike out on 3 pitches than watching Vogelback and Ruff knowing what they're going to do. Like, it's basically set in stone for the most part that Vogelback is going to strike out or ground out, and Ruff is going to make out. So, once again, guys, going to the top of the second, no score. Mets had some base runners on and didn't get it done in the bottom of the first with DeGrom on the mound. Once again, runs for DeGrom is very, very scarce, but we'll see. Top of the second, DeGrom coming back out. We will see. Jamie, I don't know. I don't get it either. Not sure. You know, Buck into late August into early September has made a lot of questionable calls with relievers and lineups. I don't know if it's coming down from the top, telling them who to play when it comes to the DH spot. I don't know. But we'll see. You know, it's clearly Buck's call with the reliever situation with Medina with the Nationals and Deoka with the Pirates. We'll see. But it is the first inning. The Mets got to score runs here. Just have to score runs. You can't not score runs against bad teams like this. Look, I don't want to give no hope to the Braves at all. I want them to look at the scoreboard and say, damn, the Mets are winning again. All right, Jacob DeGrom, top of the second.
Strikeouts, now facing Ian Happ, first-time All-Star this year. And the switch hitter fouls off a curveball, so a lot of curves early on for DeGrom. Very much against type.
DeGrom is throwing his 4th best pitch in his curveball a lot in this game so far, which is very interesting. It seems like he doesn't really like his slider. Interesting. Oof, late fastball.
On deck, and then Young Gomes for the Cubs in the second.
Here's that fastball with some giddy up. Guys want to continue with that power swing that gets it around 4 bullets.
Well, it's fine if you're on time, but he started the swing with the balls in McKenn's glove.
That's my point, is that you just have to tighten up a little bit on your stroke when you face a guy throwing bullets.
And the 9-foot slider, and he stopped it in time. 2 and 2.5.
Yeah, well, you know what, Boogie, you know what it is? The Mets' philosophy is all about on-base percentage, and that's why they got Vogie. They didn't get Vogie for just his power. They love on-base percentage. Look at the lineup. Almost everybody in the lineup has a high on-base percentage. That's why they got Marte, Cano, and Escobar on-base guys. He needs to swing the bat for sure. I agree with that. So another full count to DeGrom, 22 pitches.
Second full count already for DeGrom. And with a feeble cut and a slider, able to keep it alive.
Little back door. On the back door. That's just, that's no rotation of the hips. That is, thank you, Lord. I'm still in this at bat.
On a ball that caught a lot more of the plate than DeGrom intended. And he gets one of the ear to right field.
That might be gone. It is gone. Home run. Ian Happ. Staying on a fastball. And Happ crushes it. DeGrom has been a little bit off on his location.
Well, from a feeble swing.
1-0 Cubs.
Home run.
It's a Bernie Carbo moment.
Fastball right down the middle.
He just got the barrel out there.
That's basically it. Got the barrel in front. Major league hitters can hit that fastball down the middle. No doubt. And that's not a cheapie. It's in a Coca-Cola corner a couple of rows up. All right, let's get it done. Gotta score runs now.
Here's Rafael Ortega, who delivered the first run last night with a home run against Bassett.
Ella, that is true. The slider hasn't been as sharp in his last two starts. And that's why he's using his curveball a little bit more.
Here's the swing from the side. Left-hand hitters rose that ball down and in. That didn't get in enough. But maybe you're just looking at it, maybe you just said, this guy.
That's a nice slider. That's going to be tough. Yeah. That was going to be a rough play with the shift.
He was playing to the right of second base and might have had a better crack at throwing out Ortega. So this is momentum.
Jacob should be coming back in the Milwaukee series.
That to Guillorme to try and make a circus play, and he couldn't do it.
And a bit surprising too, because Lindor is very aggressive coming to his left when he's on the right side of the infield here.
It may have been Lindor giving Guillorme too much credit. Guillorme's back in the field. He's a magician, and he made a terrific play.
There's no shift that's a ground ball to the second baseman. Again, I still think the shift gives a lot more hits than it actually. At least it's a 50-50 proposition.
So back-to-back hits for the Cubs.
All right, gotta get done here. Yeah, I think Lindor. I don't know what Lindor, but again, that's why the shift is stupid. Because infielders, sometimes I don't even think they know what they're doing sometimes when it comes to the shift.
You've got to be on point in the stretch run. 20 games left.
All right, DeGrom's going with his fastball here. Ain't messing around with breaking balls.
Wilson Contreras is on the injured list with an ankle. They hope to have Contreras back on the weekend, but he won't play in this series. We saw P.J. Higgins last night, not Gomes tonight.
He's got the baby blue belt on. He matches shoes and his almost whatever you want to call that. Okay.
Red than blue that last half inning.
Come on, Jake.
Likes the sunflower seeds when he plays.
Gomes 3 hits and 7 career at bats against DeGrom. Too many hit over 400 against Jake.
Come on, Jake. That was a hanging slider. Can't get that break on the slider like he has been getting.
He was part of the World Series championship team in Washington.
Well, Roberto, I don't know if that's necessarily true because every time the Braves had opportunity to kind of bury the Mets a little bit after they took the lead, they could have kept on winning, but they haven't either. I mean, they lost to the Giants yesterday, who's not necessarily a good team. So
Jake came out of the shoe Guns blazing, but now he's
Well, Jake is struggling right
a
now.
little hard time settling in.
Well, it's not even a really big crowd at Citi Field either, so. 32 pitches for Jake in the second with nobody out. Slider should be a double play. And safe, not in time. Got the lead runner, though. 1 out.
Get the first out of the 5-4 fielder's choice, erasing the speedier Ortega, and Gomes at first.
Well done by Escobar. Get the lead runner. Nice attempt. Turn by. Almost got it. I would tell you, it was close. Just beat it.
Nice stretch by Pete. Give it every chance.
All right, 1 out. 1-0. Cubs on the Ian Happ home run.
1 out, and now Patrick Wisdom. Wisdom 0 for 4 last night. Back 1 out and 1 on.
Yeah, Kenny's been a good glove all year.
He went around on a half swing on a high fastball.
Well, 21-28. Everybody wanted McNeil up in the lineup. You got him. Up. The Cubs are getting in the lineup on the umpire right now.
Yeah, he argued about Wendelston on a check swing on Suzuki in the first inning. Now he's arguing with Diaz on a check swing.
Ooh. Missed the slider on the outside corner.
And it's 1-1. Finds the top of the zone with a changeup and gets ahead. 1-2. Jake struck out 2 in the first inning. Looking for some swing and miss here in the second.
Come on, Jake.
And Wisdom asks for time. This will be the 20th pitch of the inning for DeGrom.
Got him.
Takes the fastball for strike 3 call.
2 outs.
160th time this year that Wisdom has been struck out. And the third of the night for DeGrom.
Guys, just because DeGrom is not pitching to what we always see him pitch doesn't mean he's hurt. He just doesn't have it. But, again, when Jacob DeGrom doesn't have it, he still finds a way to keep the Mets in a ballgame like he's doing right now.
So 2 out, Gomes still at first, and now Alfonso Rivas, who today is celebrating his 26th birthday. Rivas was 1 for 3, drove a run last night. He's been swinging the bat well since they recalled him 2 weeks ago. He takes first pitch curveball for a strike.
All right, Jake, let's go.
Rivas since his latest recall, 13 games, hitting .303.
Come on, Jake. 38 pitches for Jake in the second inning with 2 outs. Nice fastball, let her high, 2 strikes.
It's a 2.
Yeah, he should have a hard time hitting that high fastball at that velocity with this uppercut.
Big uppercut for a guy who has 3 home runs and 210 at bats.
Look at that swing is.
Coming to Rivas. That one's upstairs.
Try to go upstairs again on him.
And 2. Well, earlier in his career was not quite the strikeout artist he has become, but then again, his velocity wasn't what it is now. He was a guy from 94, 95 when he first came up, now throwing 99 to 101. He already plays back in the outfield.
Come on, Jake. 41st pitch coming up.
1-2 coming.
Struck him out.
Fastball,
All right, so Jacob deGrom gets out of the inning with only 1 run of damage. Going to the bottom of the second, Mets trail 1-0 on an Ian Happ home run for the Cubbies. So, Mets are going to have up, let's see, Canna, Escobar, and Guillorme. Mets had a couple of runners on, couldn't get the runners in, and that's why they haven't scored yet. But they got to keep it going, and they got to work. They got to be more productive with runners on. So it's very simple. Less than 2 outs with runners on, if you have to make an out, move the runners over. They haven't been doing that as of late. They've been striking out a lot more with runners on base, which is very concerning for an offense who likes to put the ball in play and make the defense make the play and possibly make a mistake. So that was the biggest key of the Mets for the first couple of months of the year, right? That's what they did all year. That's why we love this team so much with the putting the ball in play, putting the pressure on the defense, having them make a play, and that's what the Mets got to do. They got to go back to that. Too many strikeouts with runners on. We saw that last night with Cannon striking out, and Ruff not doing the job, and Vogie not doing the job. It's just a lot of the same type of at-bats from Mets hitters that you don't see from guys like Nimmo and Canna, and even Lindor for that matter, or Alonso. These are guys that even when they were struggling, they were putting the bat on the ball in the last couple of months. This past couple of weeks, they haven't been doing that, and it's been hurt. It's been games that the Mets should have over 90 wins already, considering the fact the way they played against Pittsburgh, the Nationals, and the Cubs. They should have at least 1 or 2 more wins at this point. You saw my post, my poll earlier. If you haven't voted, check it out. What do you think it's going to take for the NL East to win the Mets to win the division? I think it has to be over 102, between 102 and 105, because the Braves, they have to win 12 out of their next 20 games. They have to go 12-8, which is very possible, which gets them to 100 wins. So I think anything over 102, they have to be a lot better. So we will see. So I'm just cleaning up my scorecard a little bit. Just give me a second, guys. All right, so let's see what Mark Hanna can do in the bottom of the second.
Leading off the home second. Rarely see Pete get that incensed on the baseball field.
Canna 1 for 4 last night. He struck out in the 8th inning.
Come on, guys.
Out of the game. He's been so clutch.
Now the pops a foul off the right side. Rivas watches it still on play.
Well, I think they're hitting this again. I told you about this West Coast trip for them. No East Coast team wants to go on the West Coast in the middle of September in a pennant race. I don't care who you're playing. West Coast trip is always tough. And look, in their West Coast trip, they're 500 at this point, right? They beat Oakland. So that's 3-3. They're 3-3 right now. Again, you want to be 500 on a road trip, but losing in a 9-game road trip, was it a 7-game road trip or 8-game road trip? You go 5-5. That's where the Mets can take advantage, but they haven't been doing it.
Buck's explanation for why Ruff rather than Vientos was very much like your explanation before the fact. It's just a matter of trust. It's a matter of experience.
Kind of ground ball to third. Should be an easy out. And it is. 1 out.
I thought Buck put it well today. He said, look, over the last few years, Ruff's been one of the best cricketers in baseball against left-handed pitching. At some point, he's going to do that again. The question is when. And then the question that comes up.
4-4. Thank you, 21-28.
Situation where they come up again this week or next week down the stretch.
Again, if they go 500 on a West Coast trip, that's what you want to do on a West Coast trip. But the Mets didn't take advantage of that. The Mets go 6-1 on this homestand, which I doubt at this point. But if they go 5-2, you can gain 2 games on the Braves if they go 500. The Mets haven't took advantage of that yet. All right, Escobar up with nobody on, 1 out. 1-0 Cubs.
Escobar at the plate is in 10 straight games, just crushing it, but he swings through the sinker at 21, and that is. If you have
Well,
the Endos
Toros,
here,
you can actually say that about every team. So I don't really like to look at that when it comes to that. I mean, every team can probably win 10 or 15 more games. Oh, that's a foul ball. So, I look at more of the games where, especially recently, where the Mets were down by a run and you put in a reliever that shouldn't be in the majors. 2 games in the last week. And the Mets yesterday, they had 12 men on base yesterday. They should have scored a couple of runs to at least make the game interesting yesterday. Escobar ground ball the first and 2 outs.
Escobar's retired 2 out. Tonight's City Community Home Runs fan of the game is Janelle from Cypress, Texas. You're big in Cypress, Steve.
Yeah, and that's when the Mets can take advantage of it. The way they've been looking, nice hand for Luis Guillorme. Let's see. I think the Braves are going to lose the series against the Giants because they haven't looked good at all. And the Giants, they play better at home. They're very good at home. And they got good pitching, so.
Stories? Yes. Brother Louie? Yes. Well, maybe you should try out
Brock, maybe you shouldn't bet the Mets. Maybe that would help. But yeah, I get it. I mean, -1.5 against bad teams seems like an easy lock, but lately it hasn't been. And Guillorme hits a shot to left field, foul. Well, Cole cannot pitch in Fenway, and Cole is probably thanking his lucky stars that he don't have to face him in the playoffs.
It was one take, and it got printed and became one of the most famous rock and roll songs of all time. Guillorme hitting .283 on the year.
Guillorme flies one that might drop fair. Foul ball. Well, you know what? I wasn't mad about the Vogelback trade early on. I think that kind of made sense just to get something else different. But, I mean, when you get guys like Ruff, like Naquin, like Vogelback, who are 220 hitters, and just because they hit one side of the pitcher well, it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't like those type of players. Yeah, Ken, the only thing you can say about Cole is that he pitches every 5th day. That's the only thing you can say you like about him. But he's not an ace. And Guillorme pops it up, should end the inning. All right, quick inning. Alrighty, a quick inning for the Mets going 1-2-3. Cubs still lead 1-0 going to the top of the 3rd. Not very good at bats there for the Mets. The Cubs will have up 9-1-2. Have a Bodie, McKinstry, and Suzuki. Well, like I said, without Spider Tech, Cole is probably a number 3 pitcher, to be honest with you. Like, he's not a guy that you could look. Your ace should be trusted in big games. Just that simple, right? I trust Jacob deGrom. I trust Max Scherzer in big games. Honestly, I would trust Chris Bassett in the big game more than I would Garrett Cole. So what did I tell you, right? With the Yankees in that situation, look, who do they really trust? Like, if I'm the Yankees, I'm starting Nestor Cortez in game 1. I like Nestor Cortez. You know why? Because he doesn't have electric stuff like Garrett Cole. But you know what he is? He's a gamer. Cole is not a gamer. He's a fake gamer. He's one of those guys that plays video games but thinks he's good, but he's really not. That's Cole. At least Nestor Cortez, he fights. He's a gamer. I like Nestor Cortez because he knows he don't have great stuff. He's not blowing a 97 miles an hour fastball, but he's quirky. He knows how to pitch. He knows where to locate, and he's a good pitcher. And unfortunately, Montas is just as bad as Cole. He's got great stuff, but can't figure it out. But we'll see. Yeah, well, I mean, if the Yankees are going to worry about Severino being healthy, then they better not even make the playoffs because that's, they better off have Severino in the bullpen. But we'll see. So if you're just tuning in, don't forget to hit on that like button. Mets are trailing 1-0 on the E&a-half home run in the second inning. And now we're at the top of the third with DeGrom on the mound. DeGrom's struggling a little bit. DeGrom has, a little over 40 pitchers in this game so far. So let's see if he can figure it out and find it. The great ones usually figure it out. We will see. Travis, how you doing, buddy? Yeah, Severino's another one that chokes in the postseason as well. All right, so DeGrom's on the mound. Let's see if he can find his stuff. 41 pitches for DeGrom in the third.
What's that? 12 leaves down yet? No, won't be long. David Bodie leads off. Bodie has barely played this year. He came back from off-season shoulder surgery. Didn't get in the game until late June. Then he was in the minor leagues for a while. So he's only had 67 at-bats this year for the Cubs. Veteran utility man. He takes fastball off the plate. It's 2-0. Bodie hitting ninth in the order. Then Zach McKinstry and Seiya Suzuki against DeGrom in the third.
There's a strike.
Catches the corner. Velocity down a little bit in this inning for DeGrom. Throwing 97, 98.
Being the GOAT, well, I shouldn't say GOAT all the time.
That's redundant. Chopper hit to Lindor.
Should be an out.
Comes in to get it.
One out. Good start.
So we have a goat down the stairs too. That would be Steve Gilbs. Steve,
I am the GOAT of all time, guys.
only in Keith's that.
But speaking of Jacob DeGrom, that GOAT of all time, you guys saw it right from the jump tonight. First at bat against McKinstry, he was throwing all 4 of his pitches, changing up the program.
All right, a lot of pitchers. Yeah, a lot of casual fans don't.
But there were signs that
I think he'll go up to 100 pitches today.
His last start against the Pirates, he threw 10 curveballs, which was the most that DeGrom has thrown in a game since April 9th of 2019. Coming into the night, you see 27 curveballs thrown in his first 7 starts. He had 4 all of
Yeah, and you know what?
And the changeup.
The biggest problem is Toronto, who has, I think, the most talent in that division. If they start winning and they beat Tampa Bay, the Yankees better be careful because they face them in, 4 days?
After that started listening to him say that he's trying to mix in those other pitches, that he feels like having that 4-pitch mix, keeping guys off balance.
Yeah, Todd, they've been struggling offensively. So it's very clear with this team. So DeGrom, looking right now, his slider looks a little bit more sharp. 48 pitches with 1 out in the third. Again, with his pitch count the way he's going, might not get through the 6th inning. Looking like a changeup grip. See if he changes it. Go into a fastball. See if he goes high and tight. And he did.
Have to wonder how much of that is the influence of Max Scherzer.
I think a lot is. I think that you're never too old to learn something new, and I think Jacob, not that long ago, 5-6 years ago, told me that he looked up at the scoreboard and he had thrown a 99-mile-an-hour slider or something. And he
struck him out. That's a nice slider.
He goes, I wanted to
2 outs.
try to dial it up and throw it harder. And I think he's come to realize now, with the injuries that he's sustained, that, do I need to go full bore, or do I want to have a longer career pitch into my
But clearly, DeGrom is a smart pitcher. When he knows he doesn't have it, he has to use his full arsenal to get things done. There's so many games in DeGrom's career where he only had to go fastball and slider, and it was just dominant. But his slider looks sharp right here. He already has 5 strikeouts in 10 batters. He needs a quick inning here. Quick inning here can help his pitch count a lot.
Trying to get DeGrom to utilize that curveball for the last couple of seasons. So, it's more than one person in Jacob's ear. And I think the more you hear it and the more you kind of see what a guy like Bassett and Scherzer can do with that curveball specifically, it changes the way you think about things. Even a guy like DeGrom has been as successful as he has been.
Suzuki takes
Strike two on the outside corner.
And I think Keith is also right. I think you see your baseball mortality when you have as many small hurts as Jake has gone through over the last year and a half. It's not just about the years to come. It's even about this year and wanting to pitch deep into October and even into November and trying to keep himself on the mound. 1-2 to Suzuki, who struck out his first time up. And
just outside.
Jake has struck out 5 tonight.
Got him. 6 strikeouts. There we go.
1, 2, 3 for DeGrom in the third.
6 strikeouts for Jacob DeGrom in 3 innings. So, bottom of the third, still 1-0 Cubs. The Mets will have up 9-1-2. McCann, Nimmo, Lindor. Once again, DeGrom, he looked like he found his stuff in that inning. His fastball was located very well. Pinpoint control with the fastball. Slider looked a lot sharper this inning than it did the first 2 innings, so that's nice to see. You know, if the offense can actually do its job and give him probably 3 runs, the Mets probably win this ballgame. But runs have been, I mean, the Mets couldn't pay for runs right now. It's kind of crazy to me. But once again, guys, if you're just tuning in, don't forget to hit on that like button. If you're watching on Twitter, thank you for watching on Twitter. But please don't forget to go onto the channel page and hit on that like button and subscribe to the channel. Finally, officially live on Twitter, live on Facebook, and, of course, live on YouTube. So the more people we get in the stream, the more people watching, the more fun it will be. Again, I don't expect any Brave fans here. I'm surprised somebody didn't show up yet thinking that the Mets are going to lose at this point with a 1-0 game. But I doubt that. The pitch count, he had a quick inning. The pitch count is at 55 going to the fourth. So I'm not too worried. You know, if he has another quick inning, he can go 6. Again, you know, it's not ideal. You want him to go 7 or 8. So it's kind of more important that DeGrom pitches well, keeps the Mets in a ball game, and gets to 100 pitches, because that's the most important thing. Again, if you go 6 innings against the Cubs, it's probably not great, but you got to score runs. It's very simple. Like, if he goes you 6 innings, 1 run, you still got to win that ball game. So, all right, here we go. Well, Steven, the reason why McCann has been hitting as well. So
James McCann leads off in the home third. McCann starting the second straight day. It's been mostly a rotation between McCann and Nito. But as Buck Showalter pointed out to me today, if you look at the splits, McCann has been much more effective against right-handed pitching, whereas Nito has been more effective against lefties, and the Mets are facing a lefty tomorrow. So McCann is in there tonight.
They did, Todd, but in games recently, as close as games were, like Game 1 with the Pirates, the Nationals, and the Marlins, they couldn't break through. You know, it's easier to score runs when you're scoring 9, 10 runs a game when there's no pressure on you. When the pressure was on in those games when it was close, they didn't do it good. They didn't do well. So, and that's the idea here. And the Mets are usually a really good home team, which is very odd the way they are right now. All right, 2-2.
Brandon Nimmo on deck, and then Francisco Lindor for the Mets in the third. Coming. Driven out to right field.
That might be right out. Hit it hard, though. 1 out.
We talked about Zach McKinstry making his first career start.
The Mets have 1 hit in the game.
kind of leaps and gets set. I like to move in a little bit and take a
Brandon Nimmo coming up with 1 out.
Coming in and getting settled. And on your toes with all of your feet, inner half of your length of your foot, so you can be ready to push off left or right, or charge forward, or move backwards.
Come on, Brandon.
His first time up. Brandon takes a fastball strike.
David Wright used to do that.
He used to it. They took it away from him, and I think it's. It's all about how you're most comfortable. As long as you get to that ready position on time. But I think it's probably harder for a corner infielder to do that hop than a middle infielder.
That's a good point, because especially at third base. I mean, really, the first baseman you play back a lot. The only time you're in, you're holding a runner on. But third baseman, that's the hot corner over there.
Gets there in a hurry. Takes a change up.
Well, the bigger problem with the Mets is that it's not like they haven't been getting people on. They've been getting base hits and walking. But when it comes to getting those runners in, that's been the problem with runners on base, which is shocking because the Mets have been good at that all years, up until recently.
Well, in McKinstry's case, he didn't come up through the Cubs organization. He's new to them. Rivas and Bodie have been in the Cubs organization.
Well, Mets 21-28. The problem with that is with Marte out, McNeil deserves to be at the top of the lineup because of the way he's been hitting.
3-1 to Nimmo. Yeah, that's a strike. Adrian Sampson's last start was a good one Thursday in Cincinnati. He gave up just 1 run in 5 innings.
I think McNeil should be batting second, not Lindor. But
Decision for him. It's only 1-1.
I like McNeil in the 2-hole more than the 3-hole.
3.76 ERA. And Nimmo shoots one just
Nimmo
foul.
almost hits one down the left field line.
That left-hand hitters have a lot of hits that way this year, haven't they?
They certainly have. And that's a block for 2 strikes.
He has done it. He's done it. And especially Nimmo.
I've always felt with guys that spray the ball, that's way off the line. Like Nimmo, like Norman. When you got 2 strikes, they're tough.
McNeil's a veteran at this point now. There's not pressure.
Inside.
And ball for the Nimmo. Second walk of the game.
And so Nimmo walks for the second time. Third walk given up by Sampson. Well, the Giants helped out the Braves like the Mets last time by beating the Braves, handed them their 3rd straight loss. Braves haven't lost 4 in a row all year. They'll have Kyle Wright, who was pushed back a day because he complained of
Yeah, but that was only for like 1 or 2 games. But then he also struck out 3 times in that game as well. But I think Alonso needs to bat 4th. It's very simple. Lindor should be batting 3rd. McNeil should be batting 2nd at this point. If you want to move him up in the lineup, put in 2nd. Lindor batting 2nd, I don't necessarily like. Lindor is not a table setter. McNeil's a table setter. Nimmo's a table setter. Lindor and Alonso are your big boys.
Those are huge games for the Phillies as they try to hang on.
All right, Frankie, come on.
The wild card race. Phillies are down 1-0 in Miami tonight in the 6th.
Billy Bean would have traded Nimmo with the money he'll be getting this year.
I mean, you can talk all you want about the Mets' supposedly easy schedule, but I think where the Mets benefit the most vis-a-vis the Braves.
Scott, I don't think that's going to be a problem. Samurais, we'll see.
Are done with it. All those games for Philadelphia will be of great import. Lindor flying out to center his first time up.
Lindor's uppercut swing, man, it's not looking good.
Lindor's been kind of losing that helmet a little bit.
Swinging way too hard.
Over his head, and,
When Lindor's going well, he's taking nice, short, compact swings, trying to go the other way. He's trying to pull everything and trying to hit 500-foot home runs.
taking a real vicious rip from the left side. He's trying to pull.
By the way, speaking of hair, is it disconcerting to you that there's a guy named Sampson on the mound with very short hair?
Well,
I mean, it's like Delilah already got him. I'm more worried about her.
2 strikes. You want to see him shut up his swing a little bit. That was better. There was a ball out of the zone, but he took a little bit more of a compact swing there. I like that.
This year, when Nimmo wasn't drawing a lot of walks, we wondered whether the force field was still in effect. And Nimmo's won 8 times in his last 27 plate appearances. So he's back to the old Nimmo where they don't necessarily throw him strikes all the time. As he hits a few more extra base hits, that's the balance. 1-2 coming. And the slider pulled foul. Streaking and struggling, well, Michael Harris just having a phenomenal rookie year. Max Fried has been high. Kenley Jansen, 3 blown saves in his last 7 appearances, and the bench Olsen in his 4 for 45.
And I just wonder how long they're going to hang with Jansen. And then remember, they got Iglesias in a trade, who is a closer, and I wouldn't be surprised if they move quickly to Iglesias to close.
All right, Lindor fouling pitches off there, taking compact short swings.
Will Smith at the deadline. Maybe Jake Rizzi to try to boost their starting rotation. Smith has closed for them in the past. They got Jansen last offseason, so that pushed Smith out of the closing role. But Rizzi has not been great for them. But Iglesias looms very large. 7th pitch of the at-bat coming to Lindor. And he goes down on the changeup. And Sampson is his first strikeout of the night.
Jesus.
He struck out only 1 in his last start against Cincinnati. Against Lindor with the off-speed pitch.
That was a nice pitch. Late movement.
So 2 out now. McNeil will get credit for a base hit when his batted ball hit.
Oh, 21-28. I don't know about discipline. That was a nice pitch. That ball started in a strike zone and just dropped. That's a good pitch. You tip your cap to the pitcher there. Come on, Jeff.
Hit up to 322 on the year.
There we go. Nimmo should go to third on that. There we go. Come on.
So McNeil is 2 for 2. And the Mets have runners at the corners with 2 down and Alonso coming up.
2 for 2 for Jeff. All right, let's see if Pete Alonso can straighten that ball out now. Base hit ties the game.
Jeff is up to 324, which places him just 6 points behind Freddie Freeman for the National League lead. There's Alonso, who walked his first time up after barely missing, hitting a home run.
See if Pete takes a little anger on at the plate here for Sampson. Get a base hit here.
He got into some words with Sampson, and now they go back at each other.
First pitch.
He gets the force, and that retires the side.
God. All right, well, the Mets don't score once again. Pete swinging at the first pitch, and the Mets don't score. Going to the top of the 4th, 1-0 Cubs. Once again, guys, this is the problem with situations, like guy like Pete. Again, he just missed the home run in the first inning? Just missed a home run in the first. But you know what? I don't like swinging at first pitches. I really don't like swinging at first pitches, especially when you got first and third. When it comes to that, I don't like. I think the pressure's all on the pitcher, and you're swinging at garbage. Let him throw a strike first. That's my philosophy. Again, that might be not analytical philosophy, but my philosophy is always taking a pitch when there's runners on. I always like to take a strike. And the pressure's on the pitcher, not the batter in that spot. Scott, I don't know about that. I mean, you haven't been scoring nothing against any other teams. So what happened last night? I mean, again, I think the Braves got to stop worrying about the Mets and worry about themselves. That West Coast trip is not making a very nice trip for you guys right now. Again, listen, both teams got to take care of their own business before they scoreboard watch, right? Again, the Braves don't play until 9:40 tonight, I think it is. Look, the Braves are checking out the Mets score, and the Mets don't have to worry about it. Yeah, Harris and Riley are hitting, but they just showed Olsen struggling. But at the same time, Riley was up in a big spot hitting to a double play last night. It offense struggles. It's just simple as that. All right, DeGrom coming out on the top of the foot. 2 hits, 1 run for the Cubs. Reyes is leading off.
Reyes struck out his first time up on sliders from DeGrom. Jacobs struck out 6 over the first 3 innings. First pitch fastball for a strike, 0-1. Happ on deck, he hit the home run that is accounted for the only run of this game. Then Rafael Ortega here in the 4th. Reyes goes after a slider out of the strike zone.
And you're struggling against the Giants.
He knows that Reyes is a swinger. Get him to flail at the slider off the plate.
But the Giants and the Cubs have good pitching. That's the difference in situations with the Mets and the Braves. That's a base hit. That's nice hitting.
Took it to right field. So Rafael Reyes can not only sing Whitney Houston songs, he can go to the opposite field.
And if that ball was a bullet, I'd like to know what the miles per hour on this line drive was. Not very often I want to know.
They're not 500 over good teams the whole year.
This is a bullet. Did you hear Fred Mills sing the other night?
No, I did not.
Something on baseball?
Nope.
It sounded really good. Al heard it. Right, Al? Wasn't he good? Yeah. He had a nice voice. I mean, he's no Whitney, but you know who is. There's Ian Happ, who parked one on the second deck his first time up, and he gets first pitch.
Curveball.
He swings over the top of it, 0-1. Happ's home run was his 17th of the year. Play 3 on the right side against town. Takes a changeup up and away, and it's 1-1.
60 pitches for DeGrom in the 4th.
Bears repeating about
Scott, that doesn't matter this year though. That's the problem. Nobody's not giving respect to the Braves for not being champions last year. But this year has nothing to do with last year. Up the shift once again.
Back-to-back changeups. Happ takes that one into left center field.
That's a ground ball double play without the shift.
He threw a curveball and 2 changeups to Happ, and Happ took it right through the vacated space. Well, there's no one there. Why not? Got a tough pitcher out there, leadoff single.
Yeah, I don't like the shift in the double play depth. I never understood that. That just kills ground balls. Scott, good luck with that.
Over his first 7 starts, Rom only had 11 bats against him with runners in scoring position. Ortega trying to drop down a bunt, fouls it off, so they had to sacrifice on him. Think about that. In his first 7 starts.
Well, Ken, I'm not going to blame McCann on that because DeGrom can shake off, you know.
This is his first of this game. Mentioned this one in the open tonight. DeGrom, if he allows 3 earned runs or fewer tonight, would tie a major league record that has stood for 108 years. That's now playing for the bunt after Ortega showed it on the first pitch. And he does square again, and he just got out of the way. That's a foul ball.
That might have got his hand, too.
Yeah, it got some back, but it also got his left hand, which he is shaking violently now. Clearly in some pain.
So David Ross playing for the runs here off the ground. I can't blame him. Not your fifth hitter in your order. You don't see that.
Well, nobody seems to be paying any attention from the Cubs dugout. The fact that Ortega clearly hurt himself on that pitch, and now finally the athletic trainer's going to come out and just figure it away. That's a David
Ouch.
Cole broke his hand.
Yes, sir. Candlestick Park.
Well, it doesn't matter because he already squared. He didn't push the bat back, so it's a strike anyway. He swung. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's what happens when you have guys that don't bunt.
Just spun back before McCann was about to
Yeah,
pick
that's
it
not
up.
pretty. That hit his finger for sure. Oh yeah.
Now some concern for Ortega as to whether that left hand is going to allow him to continue. And Dave Ross gesturing to the dugout. He needs a replacement. So Ortega's coming out of the game.
Yeah, Ortega's coming out of the game. That didn't look good.
It takes a key left-handed bat out of the lineup for the Cubs. They've got all right-handed bench.
Got to believe Hermosillo's going to come in.
That's Velasquez is healthy. Velasquez has been under the weather the last week.
And where is the replacement?
Well, not ready because we expected this.
Well, he's our dugout.
Going to retrieve somebody from the clubhouse. This is why you keep your hand behind the bat.
Yep.
He got a ball.
Ooh.
He squirted up.
Ouch. That got 3 fingers right there. Ouch. That's not good.
So Ortega will head down the tunnel, and who's coming out of the tunnel?
They're going to find him.
Well, probably it's also throw a couple of warm-up pitches now as they wait.
This is something that's always a nightmare for a bench player. Your manager of the ordinary needs you, and you're nowhere to be seen in the dugout. And you certainly don't want to be a young player and they have to go find you.
There's Michael Hermosillo, who came in the game late last night and struck out in his only. And because it's a 2-strike count, if Hermosillo completes the at bat and it's a strikeout,
Yeah, we charge to Ortega.
The other result was charged to Hermosillo. But he was clearly not prepared for this plate appearance. And could there be anything more
Yep, you always got to bend your knuckles under the bat and behind the bat. That's basically bunting 101. Very simple. Just like that. Just like that. Like that. Very simple. But when you don't bunt and they don't teach you to bunt and then they ask you to bunt, that's what happens. Stupidity.
Reyes at second and half at first.
All right, 0-2 count.
All right, big boy, what do you got? And he puts this
And he bunts. Nice
It's a good
bunt.
one. McCann picks it up and gets it.
Oh.
It's dropped by Alonso and the bases are loaded.
Oh, my Lord. That's not good.
Hermosillo comes off the bench with a 2-strike count and gets the bunt down, and he's safe at first base.
They might have called him out.
In the line.
Let's see.
The umpires are going to talk it over.
He might have been out of the baseline.
Wendelstedt.
We'll see.
Here's the bunt.
It's a good bunt.
Shocker.
That's a better bunt.
And that would catch everybody by surprise. And it's a beauty. Now, he is inside the line there, Gare.
Oh, he's
Yes,
out.
sir.
He is out.
It did.
He wasn't on the line, so he should be out.
And it was clearly inside the line.
Yep.
Got him on the side of the helmet. He's clearly inside the line. He should be called
He
out.
should be called out.
Absolutely. And Buck, is this a? Can you?
It is not a challenge.
Oh, we're gonna get screwed there.
But it is
It's not
clearly
challengeable.
a call that should have been made on the field. The runner has got to stay in that 3-foot wide lane, the last 45 feet to first base, and if he gets hit by that throw and thus interferes with it, he should be called out.
Yeah, he's in the grass. He should be out. Well, that's a bad call by the umpire, and it's not challengeable.
Which prevents Alonso from making the play. And they are not going to call it. Wow.
Yep. They're not calling it. That's unfortunate.
So that's what an E3, an E2.
E2 sacrifice.
E2
That's got a
sacrifice.
bad break on a bad call. I mean, clear as day. That's a play that's got to be called.
Well, bases loaded, nobody out. That's unfortunate, but the Mets put themselves in this mess. Got to get out of it.
And Gomes lofts one out to right, not very deep. McNeil coming toward the line. Reyes without a lot of speed at third. He's going to tag. He's going to try to score. The throw's going to go to third base. Wow. And arriving safely there is Happ.
All right, 2-0.
Sacrifice fly for Gomes to drive in a run, and it's 2-0 Chicago.
Interesting choice by Jeff there. It's a long throw across the diamond to throw to third.
But you're trying to keep that runner from getting to third base with one out. So you understand it from a baseball standpoint, but I don't know if he had a better shot of getting Reyes at the plate.
If he felt he couldn't get the runner at the plate, then you're certainly not going to get the runner at third. Happ doesn't run that bad. The thing that he's a right-hand thrower. He's moving towards the line. If it was a left-handed outfielder, better chance to get rid of it quicker.
All right, so 1 out, 2-0
So
Cubbies.
it's 2-0, and now here's Wisdom, first and third and 1 out. And he squares the bunt and takes the pitch outside.
What are you thinking?
I think it's safety squeeze, I guess. Did they call that a strike? Yeah, Les called it a strike.
It was right on the outside corner. You got your number 6 hitter here.
He's bunting with his number 5 hitter. I mean, you got DeGrom on the mound. Sometimes you got to change the game plan.
Oh, please. I'm sorry.
Here, we'll see with the runner at first, Happ at third, infield back at double play depth against Wisdom, who doesn't run particularly well. And again, he squares, pushes the bunt. Alonso's going to have to come home with it, and McCann can't get the tag down. The run scores.
Oh, boy.
And it's 3-0.
Not a good play by Alonso.
Brings it a run. Alonso had plenty of time, and he threw that ball on the plate, but he threw it to the wrong side, and by the time McCann got it,
Not good, guys. Not good.
to make it 3-0.
And a really good bunt by Wisdom, who I gotta believe doesn't bunt very often because Pete has to hold the runner on. But look at Escobar.
Had a lot of time.
Back. Not a good throw.
Not a good throw.
Anyway,
I think a good throw's got him, Keith.
I'm not so
He
sure.
throws that ball to the other side of the plate.
It would be close. That's a fielder's choice.
Not a good play.
Sacrifice
Bad
fielder's
throw
choice.
by
RBI for
Alonso.
Wisdom to make it 3-0.
3-0
Rivas,
Cubbies.
and he takes one at his feet for ball one, and this inning has become completely discombobulated.
DeGrom just pulled a Mullen Ryan. You want to bump on me? I'm going to move your feet. I have not.
It's not looking good.
Back-to-back bunts.
Alonso throwing it the ball like
It's
Lucas
especially
Duda, yeah.
When you're facing a pitcher of this caliber, sometimes you got to do things a little differently. I mean, you know, it's not in vogue these days to bunt, but it's a big part of baseball and has been for a long time. It's just that it's fallen out of fashion.
I also feel that when the judgment of the Cub manager, David Ross, is the amount of strikeouts that Wisdom has on the year. I mean, he's struck out a million times.
I mean, you go back to Hermosillo and his bunt, right? He comes up cold out of the dugout with an 0-2 count. What are his chances of making contact if he swings against DeGrom? So he did something unconventional, laid down a 2-strike bunt, and it worked out well for them as the umpires blew the call. And the safety squeeze is an almost undefensible play if you get down a good enough bunt.
So they execute the bunt. The Cubs have not been good, particularly Wisdom at getting runners in from third, less than 2 outs. So, we haven't seen the Cubs. I did not see them in Wrigley Field. I did not have those games. And you know what? It's September. You're playing it out. You're loosey-goosey.
Fly ball into shallow center. And it will
Should be 2 outs. All right.
That's the second out. Runners hold. So Rivas is retired. David Bodie, the number 9 hitter, will come to bat.
It's a very interesting inning.
We've had a player get hurt in the middle of an at-bat. You've had the umpires make
2 outs, first and second, 4th inning, 72 pitches for the ground, 3-0 Cubs. Popped up, should end the inning. McCann is not going to find it. He does. Okay.
That's a nice recovery by McCann. Did not see that ball at first. So the Cubs.
All right, so they scratch out 2 runs in the 4th inning. They lead 3-0. Mets got to get their act together offensively. I'm not going to kill the umpires there. It was a bad call. He was out of the baseline to bowl him. He should be out, but a bad defensive play by Alonso. He had time. Again, when you don't have a really good defensive first baseman there, again, that's a little league play. You got to make those plays. I'm sorry. You do that throughout your career. In high school, in college, throw the ball home. It's not that hard. And he threw the ball offline, and the Mets gave up another run there. I wouldn't say it's any fault of DeGrom. There was a couple of ground balls there that should have. There was a double play ball that wasn't a double play, wasn't hit hard enough. But it comes down to the Mets offense. You got to hit the Cubs pitching. It's very simple. And RM, I said this earlier. I thought the Mets got overly cocky after the Dodgers series against facing the Nationals afterwards. I think they got extremely cocky, like they were a team that just could have showed up against bad teams and start winning. I don't know if that got their mindset all messed up or what. But listen, they got to get their act together. There's no doubt about it. It's not the guys that the bottom of the lineup that you're worried about here. I could see if it was the top of the lineup that was hitting and the bottom of the lineup was coming up with runners on and not getting it done, then we can talk about that. But it's the big guys. It's the Alonsos, the Lindors, the Vogelback / Ruff who can't just do it. Well, it's not even about that, Gary. It's just the fact that the Mets, for the most part, ever since the Braves have been catching up, every time the Braves lose, it seems like the Mets lose now. Oh, Jeffrey, that's the truth. I don't know if it's bad teams playing up to the competition or the Mets playing down to the competition. I don't know. But it's basically getting the hits. I mean, we're getting base runners. There's no doubt about that. So, it's the big guys that are not getting it done. I'm not killing the bottom of the lineup. McCann, Escobar, Canna, all those guys have been good. When you get runners on and Lindor is up and Alonso's up, you got to get it done. Vogelback is leading off. And Vogelback, a ground ball. Look at that. What else is there? Once again, this guy, every at-bat is a ground ball. Just a ground ball.
Last 3 Met hitters, McNeil, Alonso, and Vogelback have seen only 1 pitch. Meanwhile, Jacob DeGrom getting pecked to death in that.
No, Vientos should be batting. Very simple.
73 pitches now in 4 innings. Both runs in that inning are earned, despite the error committed by McCann and the error committed by the umpires in not calling Hermosillo out at first base. And they're looking at that play on the
iPad. They need to put down their iPad and stop looking at the play and worry about the at-bats.
It was clearly in fair territory. Should have been ruled out. Maybe they're looking at the safety squeeze as well.
Ella, I'm not worried about that. He's probably working on pitches. Scott, even if the Braves win tonight, we're still a half a game up. So, how many more times the Braves are going to get close, and close? Look, they had a half a game lead. They could have took full advantage of the Mets playing badly, and they still haven't. True, Tora. I agree with that. But Vientos should be DHing today. It's very simple.
First 2 men on again in the third, but could not score. That was close, but missed 2-1. Michael Hermosillo played down that first punt, and they got hit in the helmet on its way to first. Should have been called out, was not. And that set the stage for that big inning. He's now in center field. And Jones replacing Ortega, who got hit in the hand by a pitch.
Coming off the bench unexpectedly.
No, man, I don't even think it's overweight. It's just he's not a good hitter. It's just very simple. He's an all or nothing hitter who has a good on base percentage. The same thing with Ruff. It's mind boggling thing. Scott, I bet you said that last night too.
That's a whip cut. I'm sorry, I'm being told that's called a whip pan in the truck. Hammer moves unexpectedly, right? Panning across.
Well, Pete, honestly, and see, this is one of the Brave fans, Pete, who is actually respectful and actually roots for his team in the right way.
So it's no one's fault.
Well, it's not just Jansen. I mean, how many times Olsen have been coming up in big spots? What is he, like 4 for his last, 37? He's been bad as well. You know, if it wasn't for Will Harris and Grossman, you guys would be in trouble with your big bats, who hasn't been doing anything.
Here's the 2-2, and it's in after right center field. Back in the gap goes Hermosillo on the warning track.
What a catch.
Hermosillo has certainly had impact in this game. First the bunt, now a nice catch.
Again, put it this way. The Braves and the Mets over the last 6 games, haven't been taking advantage of the bad losses that they had. Both teams. I mean, they're both struggling down the stretch. Geez.
He's tracking it all the way. No fear of the fence.
Yeah, I mean, Acuna hasn't been the same player ever since he talked about his knee barking. Olsen, I don't know what's wrong with him. I mean, he's been striking out with the best of them. You know, Riley, Grossman, and Harris have been your mainstays in that lineup lately. I mean, your 3-game losing streak is based on Riley, Harris, and Grossman for the most part. Ozuna has been hot, but I don't know how long that's gonna last because he's a weird player, Ozuna.
Back to 2007, Carlos Beltran had a stretch over 6 games with that many hits and that many total bases. So that's how hot Escobar has been. A 6-game stretch for hits and total bases by a bet in 15 years.
Yeah, Pete, and I talked about that when you guys were killing it offensively. Olsen and a lot of the team has a lot of strikeouts. And that's the big problem. If you guys strike out a lot during a game, you don't score a lot of runs. And, look at the Seattle game when they were struggling to hit. And, that big comeback that they had was awesome. But it was all Harrison and Grossman for the most part. It wasn't anybody else.
It should be one or the other.
Ooh, Sampson just mowing the Mets down.
3-0 Cubs after 4.
Not a good offensive performance by the Mets. Jacob DeGrom is looking human. I mean, unnecessarily. I mean, can I kill Jacob DeGrom in this game? I mean, there was a defensive play where that third run shouldn't have scored. Alonso should have got the guy out. The base runner should have been out, but I don't like making excuses like that. That's a call that the umpire makes on the fly, so I'm not going to kill the umpire on that, even though that's his job. But, it still comes down to the Mets winning the ball game and scoring runs. Very simple. Scott, 3-2 is very terrible for the Giants, too, against the Braves, right? You're supposed to be according to everybody, the Braves are better than everybody. So they should be scoring runs at the best of them against the Giants, and they haven't. So, Scott, you hope so. But remember, if you don't win this division, you got a whole round to go before you get to the DS. So, again, the Braves, I think Pete can understand this as well. Yeah, Pete, I thought Wright went for an MRI. I'm assuming he's okay. Because, Kyle Wright is one of those guys that I think is very important to your rotation. So, he did get that extra day I think what was it, a forearm? I think it was for right. I think that's what it was. Well, no, man. The Mets and the Braves are making the playoffs. I don't think there's a concern there. For both teams, it's just a matter of division. So DeGrom's on the mound. He has 72 pitches. Let's see if he can get a quick inning. I mean, the offense got to wake up. Very finished. Scott, you said that, but when you go to the NL, when you go to the wild card game and you got to pitch Fried and Strider and possibly Morton, and then you're going to go with your fourth starter in the NLDS, it's not going to be easy. Oh, it's a game time decision. Okay. Because the way they said it, like he's going for an MRI, and when they say that, that's kind of scary. For the most part.
The second, and then a couple of scratch runs helped out by a couple of bunts in the fourth. Fastball taken inside, a ball to strike to McKinstry. So it's not been an easy inning at all for DeGrom, who is averaging.
Well, Roberto, it still comes to the fact of the players that are here all year, the Alonsos, the Lindors, the Escobars, like they gotta perform. It's very simple. It's not the guys that we didn't get. It's the guys that were here the whole year, the Nimos of the world, the Alonsos, the Lindors. Very simple. Those guys are not doing what they're supposed to do. And it's a big reason why the Mets are struggling. Not because of the guys we didn't get. The guys who are here have been doing it all year, even before the deadline. They're not doing it now, and that's the bigger problem.
And the 1-2. Struck in.
All right, nice pitch by DeGrom, 1 out. This game feels like should be in the 8th inning, and it's only the 5th. So
to feel like if you scored 3 runs against Jacob DeGrom, you've done everything that you set out to accomplish on the night as a team.
I just think the offense would walk down the dugout and say, "Okay."
Well, Scott, you got one more now.
Make it good. I mean, since the start of the 2018 season, DeGrom began his Cy Young run. His ERA is 1.92 over 98 starts. So if you get 3 against him in the first 4 innings, you are way ahead of the game. Suzuki with a
2 strikes.
To the slider, and it's over.
Scott, you might get it.
Suzuki has been up twice, struck out both times.
1.92 ERA since 2018, lowest in Major League Baseball. Minimum 300 innings. And there's your strikeout.
It was a fresh bait. Well, 3rd time he's been struck out tonight.
Suzuki never saw that type of pitching in Japan. Oh, okay, Pete. So that's good for the Braves, considering.
Good changeups to the left-hand hitter, some nasty sliders to the right-hand hitter, and now he'll be Franco Reyes.
Yeah, and I think Christian, both the Braves and the Mets will clinch very soon as well. So by next week or so.
And he tips this one off the side, foul. Nothing to one.
Infinite Ron, how you doing, buddy?
Sliders, where he's put them where he wants to. Razor blade, knees and block outside corner.
He's going to go right back to it again, but Reyes steps out, slowing him down.
You know what? I think he's ticked off the 2 runs. He's down 3-0. I think he went in there. Okay, that's it. You're not getting any more.
It's sharply.
Oh, nice play by Escobar. All right, nice play. Quick inning for DeGrom. And with that said, DeGrom can actually go through 6 innings, possibly 7, if that's possible. But the Mets are losing 3-0 to the Cubbies, and they got to do better. It's very simple offensively. Yasin Razan should stop with this platoon strategy. I've been saying that forever. I don't think platoons work at the DH. Scott, that's cute. Watch your Giants. Watch the Braves lose to the Giants again. That's kind of funny. I didn't think so, Ryan. Honestly, I don't. The Mets don't sweep series. It's been all year like that. They consistently win series. Sweep, I don't know. That's fishy. Yeah, again, the problem with the platoon at DH makes I don't care if it's analytically smart. I don't like it at all. Again, you've seen what American League teams do for all these years. They have one set guy at DH, and then every now and then they give a guy off on the field and DH him. But most of the time, it's usually one DH for the most part. Yankees with Stanton, David Ortiz for the Red Sox. You can go on and on and on. And, look, we can talk about the deadline all we want, but again, Epler said if the Mets didn't get DH help, they would use Vientos. They trusted Vientos to be the DH, but yet you have them up and you're not using them. That's the thing that I just don't get. And again, this is not all about Vogelback and Ruff. This is about Alonso. This is about Lindor. This is about Brandon Nimmo, who started to hit a little bit, but he has been struggling as well. It's the same thing with guys. You can't blame the bottom of the lineup. Canna, Escobar, and Nito and McCann have been hitting. So they haven't been a problem. It's been Nimmo. It's been Lindor. It's been Alonso. And that's the big, all the times that a lot of the runners have been on base, it's been what? It's been Lindor up. It's been Alonso up. It's been either Vogelback or Ruff up. That's the problem. The guys out of here got to get it done. It's very simple. All right, Luis Guillorme leading off 8-9-1 for the Mets. Got to score some runs here.
It's down 3-0 as they come to bat in the fifth. And Luis Guillorme takes curveball outside for ball one. Guillorme flat out to center, his first at bat in a month. Back in the lineup, off the injured list today, coming back from a groin injury. Meanwhile, on the rehab front, Tyler McGill, the Mets were hoping was going to make his last rehab appearance tonight. But McGill got only 2 batters out and gave up 3 runs and 5 hits. So we'll see whether that slows his return down.
Guillorme pops it up.
Left center, McKinstry out and Happ in. Happ one answer. Well, the Braves have lost 3 in a row. They haven't lost 4 in a row all year. They'll be playing in San Francisco tonight.
Oh, me and Ken have been winning that for a while.
Starts in about an hour. And the Mets continue to flail through this supposedly easy schedule. They've gone 5-5 over the last 10 games. They've got this one and tomorrow with the Cubs, then 4 with the Pirates before they go to Milwaukee for a tough
Well, I can't even blame the runs on the ground. It was
just about every day.
A call by the umpire that wasn't called, and Alonso can't throw the ball home.
Second division teams playing loosey-goosey, calling up players you're not familiar with.
Seems like Brave fans have been saying that for like 4 months now that they win in the division. Until they actually show that they can run away, it's probably nobody's running away with this division, to be honest. And McCann flies 1, 2 outs. Honestly, if Mets fans and Brave fans want to be honest with themselves, it's going to come down to a 3-game series at the end of September. Very simple. Quick 2 outs for the Mets in the bottom of the fifth.
And you get into the weakness of their 13th.
Yeah, but DLD, they've been the better team for 3 months now, and they still haven't passed the Mets. They finally did it for like 24 hours. But that doesn't mean anything. Again, the Braves had the Mets have been losing first games of the series all the time, and the Braves haven't been catching up. They've been status quo, just like the Mets. The Mets win 2 in a row. The Braves win 2 out of 3. The Braves lose 3 games. The Mets win 1 game. Like, it's just back and forth. It's been like that for like 2 weeks now. I don't think the way that both teams have been playing, and I did say that West Coast trip, the Braves have to be better than 500 on that West Coast trip. And the way they are, they have to win the next 2 games. If they're 5-5, they don't really do much in the standings much. If the Mets, take a series here, win 2 out of 4, nobody really gains any ground. DLD, I agree. I think they need to.
There were vagaries of this game that you just can't account for. Why you play 162, and why even the best teams lose 55 or 60 of them. That's right.
again, for one of the hottest teams in the league in the Braves to go 500 on the West Coast, they needed more than that, to be honest.
They're out there.
Why can't the Mets win a playoff series? That's kind of funny.
Speaking of the Brewers, they're playing the Cardinals tonight. That's their last stand. Trying to get back in the division, but they're 8 teams behind St. Louis. That's not likely. Anyway,
The team that's going to win 100 games can't win a playoff series. That's funny. Full count to Nimmo.
Milwaukee's 2 games out of the wild card. That's where their sights are focused.
Strike 3 called. Nice pitch. Got him looking. Top of the 6th. 3-0 Cubbies.
Dear mirror, how do I see myself? I see power.
All right. Once again, guys, don't forget to hit on that like button. Again, the offense is just not hitting. It's very simple. I mean, it's not really the pitching that's really the problem. Like, I mean, DeGrom gave up 3 runs, but let's be honest, it should have been 1. But the Mets, look, the Mets score a ton of runs in Miami the last 2 games. Laughers. And, you know, it was like that with the Pirates doubleheader. Mets came out, scored some runs. Again, like I actually thought coming home would be a little bit better, but it's not. Very simple. Sampson, you know, looking at the scoreboard, is pitching better than DeGrom. DeGrom gave up 3 runs. They're all earned, but 2 of those runs shouldn't have scored based on the Mets defense. Very simple. Yeah, Nick, I'm not going to go on the hitting coach. I don't think it's not. Look, you can't go 130 games or 125 games, and all of a sudden everybody loves the hitting coach. And then now it's the last 15 to 20 games, it's all the hitting coach. It's not that. Look, it's clear Pete Alonso needs a day off during actually a game. Very simple. Like, mentally, he's drained. You can see the aggravation. You can see the madness. But again, at this point, look, the Mets are not sitting Alonso at this point. It's kind of too late, too little too late to sit this guy now in a division race. It's very simple. You know, the same thing. You think the Braves are going to sit down Acuna or sit down Harris or Grossman or Olsen? No, they're not. Not in these type of races. You're not now. You're not doing that. And I doubt they're going to do that now. Either team. All right? Top of the 6th. DeGrom's still on the mound. 3-0 Cubs.
Second deck home run to right field is 17th of the year. They had a base hit and scored a run in the 4th.
I agree, Pete.
Ron picks off the outside corner with a fastball. 2. Jake hasn't walked the batter. He struck out 8, but he's down to this game 3-0. He's given up 4 hits, including the half home run. And half is down on strikes.
Another strikeout for DeGrom.
1 out of the 6th. Let's check in with the studio. Maria Marino has a game break brought to you by your local Honda dealers. Maria?
Thank you. Marlins hosting the Phillies. Miami up 1-zip until the 7th when Nick Maton takes Sandy Alcantara deep for a 2-run shot. Now the Phillies lead 2-1 in the 8th. Gary?
So Alcantara, who had slipped back a little bit in the Cy Young quest, really good tonight until giving up that Maton home run. Until they gave up in 7 innings.
We're protecting that 1-0 lead, too. Trying to up and in with that fastball.
Here's Michael Hermosillo, who had perhaps the most important.
I agree with that, Ken.
Came in for an injured Rafael Ortega with a 2-strike count with 2 men out of the 4th.
Steve, I know.
2-strike bunt.
But, you know, DeGrom will swing and hyperextend his elbow and then be out for the year. We've seen that before, too. Well, DeGrom's still rushing it up there. You know, DeGrom's pissed. You can just tell. 89 pitches. This will be his last inning for sure. John, I wasn't around, but I do know my history, and you're right about that. It seems very similar.
Rom's high pitch count this year is 93 through 91 in his last start against Pittsburgh. He's at 90 now tonight.
Well, if you know, Nick, a lot of these games late were close until the bullpen actually gave those games up.
Just got a piece of that one to stay in the at-bat.
Well, yeah. I mean, considering, DeGrom's starts, a quality start is 1 run. You know what I'm saying?
55 for his career.
So this is like a average start for DeGrom. For most pitchers, 3 innings, 6 runs is like a great start in today's baseball. Nice pitch. Jesus. 10 strikeouts.
10 strikeouts for DeGrom. Third time this year, 56th time in his career he struck out 10 or more.
Yep, 4 chances, buddy. 4 chances. You still got to count the 6th inning. 6, 7, 8, 9.
He's following up that real sharp 5th inning.
Wanda, yes. You know what? I was just looking at that. Swanson and Olsen played every game. So, again, you know what? Maybe Olsen needs a day off the way he's been playing. I mean, what is he? I think they show the stat. What is he, like 5 for his last 40-something? I mean, that's a guy that looks like he needs a day off. It's guys need days off. I don't care how young you are. You need a day off every now, especially if you're struggling like Olsen is, Alonso is, for sure. Look, the Mets have a chance. The Braves have a chance to win games until the last out in the 9th inning. Very simple. Well, Steven, I don't know. Pete Alonso's good, but that means they might need a day off. That should end the inning. That was a quick inning for DeGrom. All right. All right, 4 more chances for the Mets to get back in this ball game. It comes to me and Kemba were talking about this probably since early August. Lindor and Alonso, you got to give these guys a day off. I'm not saying DH Alonso and get them off the field. It's more of the Cardinals ain't catching nobody. The Braves and the Mets, wild card wise, they're up by like 9 games. It's almost impossible. The Braves or the Mets have to go on a 10-game losing streak, and the Cardinals got to win 10 in a row to get back. When with Alonso, ever since Dominic Schmidt went down, you really didn't have a backup first baseman that you can trust to give Alonso a full day off. That hurt. Ruff is not really a first baseman, but you have Vientos who can play first base, right? He's basically a third base, first base, in the Mets farm system. So you could have played Vientos today and sit Alonso. And if you needed Alonso in a big spot late in the game, I'd pinch hit him. But it's kind of, it's frustrating in the fact that, again, if you put Vientos in the lineup, is he going to get hits in this ball game? Who knows? We're runners on. He could have struck out 3 times. We don't know that. But when you don't do that, like this is why I love the Braves organization, especially their front office. They're not afraid to use their young kids and put them in the lineup and trust them. Again, if Harris would have came up and struggled, the Braves weren't going to send him down. They were going to leave him in there to figure it out. They did that with Riley a couple of years ago when he struggled as a rookie, and look what he turned into now. And that's what the Mets don't do. And it's frustrating because you see a team in your own division bring up Grissom, bring up Harris this year. In years past, they brought up Alves, they brought up Acuna, they brought up Swanson. They bring up these kids and they give them a chance. The Mets front office, they don't do that. And that's a problem. Vientos can be, but we don't know if you don't try, right? That's the thing. All right, bottom of the 6th, Mets losing 3-0.
Only on SNY, where it says the promo against the Browns, which I guess they're playing UPS. 9 Sports 9 time after the post game. Everything on tonight's game and everything else in sports.
Well, Roberto, I think it's going to take 4 years, $200 million, and honestly, I'd give it to him, to be honest.
Adrian Sampson, 5 scoreless.
Oh, Lindor is up.
Third time around the batting order.
2, 3, 4. Got to get it done. Got to get it done here. Seth Lugo in the bullpen.
If DeGrom is done, 108 years ago, there was a pitcher named Jim Scott who pitched for the White Sox in 1913 and 19.
2-0 count the window.
Stretch of 39 straight starts where He allowed 3 earned runs or fewer. And if DeGrom is done for tonight, this will be his 39th straight start, allowing 3 earned runs or fewer. And this would tie Jim Scott's 108-year-old record. Just one more note on the brilliance that is Jacob DeGrom. This clearly was not his best night, but he
All right, 3-1 count.
10 over 6 innings and give his team a chance. The Mets trying to forge that chance with their 2, 3, and 4 hitters.
I think Lindor's trying to find anything to get going, to be honest with you.
Sampson behind 3-1.
All right, leadoff walk. Here we go.
So after Sampson retired 7 in a row, he issues his 4th
McNeil coming up 2 for 2. Look, I think the Mets had been more patient at the plate. Sampson is not throwing a lot of strikes. You got to let him go. Got to let him throw strikes here. You can't overexert yourself and just swing at crappy pitches that you've been swinging at all game. These guys got to focus on base hits and not hitting a 5-run home run with 2 men on. I think Nimmo's getting $100 million, guys, over like maybe 5 years, to be honest with you. McNeil, double play ball, hits it hard. Can't do nothing there, man. Jesus. Tippy cap to the infield there. That was a hard hit ball, man.
Nice turn by McKinstry, playing his first ever big late start at shortstop. Kind of a low throw by Bodie, but it didn't seem to bother McKinstry in the slightest.
Well, you know what? I get more frustrated by taking bad swings and, lazy fly balls. That was a rocket. But guess what the Cubs didn't do? They didn't shift. If they shift right, the shortstop would have been second base and the right fielder would have been in the outfield. When you don't shift, when you have a double play opportunity, that's what happens.
Sampson pours one over the inside corner, and it's 1-1. Sampson threw just 75 pitches in his last start in 6 innings against Cincinnati. But
21-28, he hit that ball hard. You can't do nothing about that. But that's what happens when you don't shift the infield with a double play chance.
Breaking ball stays out of the strike zone, 2-1. He got angered in the first inning when Sampson barked down. He hit a foul home run, circled the base.
2 outs, bottom of the 6th. Alonso up 3-0 Cubs.
And Sampson came toward him and said something, and Pete snapped back at him. And it looked like Pete was swinging angry in the 3rd inning when he came over.
Well, BA, I'm a fan. So I'm a Mets fan. I don't not watch them because they're not playing well. Yeah, that's called a bandwagon fan. I'm not one of those. Yeah, but the problem is, Ryan, there's really nobody that the Mets can turn to play center field. Yeah, Marte, but you're not going to throw a guy who's getting up there in age as center field, and then you need a right fielder. So, you got to look at what you have and what you can get other than Nimmo. The only other guy that you can think that can play center field is Andrew Benintendi, and he's coming off an injury, so you just never know. Nice pitch to take for Alonso. Again, Judge. You're going to put Judge in center field at 32 years old, risk getting injury and paying him $350, $400 million? God, be careful. Oh, Steve, have fun, buddy. That's right. You're that West Coast guy, right? That's cool. Ken, I agree, but I'm just telling you who's available to put in center field. Yeah, but the problem is that you got to look at what the Mets have and what they have without Nimmo. sometimes they're a premium on your team and not on another team. And pops it up.
That retires aside. That's a big blank for 6 by Adrian Sampson. 3-0 Chicago.
Top of the 7th, 3-0 Cubs. Honestly, you see, that's the thing, guys. That you have to look at. You can't just look at. You got to see is Nimmo more valuable to the Mets or another team. You take Nimmo off this team, who are you replacing him with? You could say Aaron Judge. Fine. We know he's a better hitter than Brandon Nimmo. Right? So say your leadoff hitter is Jeff McNeil, right? Marte would be second, Lindor possibly third, Judge fourth, Alonso fifth. You can look at that all you want. But look at what is valuable on that team. Nimmo might not be more valuable to the Phillies or the Braves, or think of another team, the Yankees for that matter. He might not be more valuable to them. You got to look at the what's the value that he brings to the Mets, right? We know he's not a home run hitter. That's why you lead him off. We don't need a home run hitter at the leadoff spot. We need a guy who has a high on-base percentage to get on for your big boys. Nimmo recently hasn't been getting on, hasn't been taking a lot of pitches. That's been one Achilles heel that he has. He goes into these slumps where he swings at everything, doesn't take pitches, doesn't get on base, which hurts the batters to get RBIs, to get the runners on base, your table setters for the big boys. But still with the same problem, you have to look what is available and how valuable is that guy to the Mets. Like, some people say, well, look who's like, you could say, oh, is DeGrom more valuable to the Mets or not? There's some people that don't want to give DeGrom 4 years, $200 million, because you're going to have to pay him more than what Scherzer gets per year. It's very simple. That's why he's opting out. And that's the issue. Honestly, if the Mets get David Stearns from the Brewers, I wouldn't be surprised if Epler's gone. To be honest, I don't know about Eric Chavez, but Epler might be gone. Well, Lugo has been a better pitcher in the second half, so we'll see. 3 more chances for the Mets to come back in this ballgame. Not looking pretty, though. And I will be right back, guys.
After the 2 runs, unorthodox 2 runs.
And this was launched to deep left field, but Canada should have room as he drifts back. Wisdom 1 out. Your Allstate mayhem opened that 4th inning. Hermosillo came in with a 2-strike count after Ortega was hurt. Surprised everybody by dropping a bunt. Should have been called out after he was hit running inside the line. Was not called out. He had followed with a sacrifice fly for 1 run, and a Wisdom dropped down a bunt on a safety squeeze to drive in a 2nd run. Now Alfonso Rivas fouls off a fastball from Lugo. Lugo's last time out on Sunday gave up a 2-run homer to Brian Anderson. That's were up big and it hardly mattered, but it was a rare blow for Lugo, who's been really terrific over the last 2 months. Rivas has struck out and flied out tonight, 0 for 2. And it takes the curveball for a strike, and it's 0-2. So DeGrom went 6. He allowed 3 runs, all earned on 4 hits. Didn't walk a batter, struck out 10. He's now struck out 73 and walked 4 this year. Struck McCann on the bounce. He's giving McCann time after he got hit.
Oh, okay. That's fine. Only got him by a 7.
So with DeGrom giving up 3 earned runs in 6 innings this year, his ERA goes up to 2.01 through his first 8 starts.
I've seen enough of Laz behind the plate. He's very, very sensitive and protective of the catchers. It's a soft spot. It's hard.
Bet he likes puppies too, kid. I like labs.
Look, there's nobody gonna outspend the Mets when it comes to DeGrom. If the Mets want to, the Mets are gonna be the highest bidders. The highest contract offered to DeGrom. DeGrom wants to get paid. It's very simple. The highest bidder is going to get DeGrom. It's very simple. Good point, Jimmy. Jesse, isn't that the truth? The Yankees are not offering. They're going to have to give all the money they can to Judge, and then they won't have nothing left.
Starter for tomorrow, whether Peterson will start or whether Trevor Williams will take the start as they transition Peterson to pitch in relief. Simply wins the tug of war. And a half swing.
Nice pitch. 2 outs.
Strikeout victim. That's 11 for bad pitchers tonight. The first for Lugo. 2 out. So the Mets bullpen's going very.
Yelfies, I'm telling you right now. The way they made the moves, like, who are the Yankees going to get? There's really nobody out there for the Yankees to get. After you spend $300+ million on Judge, you got to re-sign Andrew Benintendi, who is probably going to cost you about $50 to $60 million. That might be gone. Oh, that's gone. Wow. Where did that ball come from? Wow. That ball just kept on carrying. Huh. Well, that was nice. That looked like a line drive. That ball went 381 feet. Yeah, but Nick, the problem with the whole Judge thing, I don't think Judge wants to stay with the Yankees, to be honest with you. I think Judge wants to go home to California, and he heard so many rumblings about San Francisco going after him. So
that's been one of the facts of Lugo's season, is that he's been more effective against left-hand hitters. Up in the count on McKinstry.
Yelfies, I don't know if you have been listening to the Yankees. The Yankees ain't going past 300, I'm telling you. All right, that's a home run, giving it 4 runs for the Cubbies, and that makes it a bit more harder for the Mets to come back in this ball game since they can't score anything for that matter. Yelfies, be careful with that. You know, they're still a team that can win be a 500 team. You put Judge on that team. Look, the Yankees are a 500 team without Judge. They're probably worse than that. So that's the thing you have to look at too. And the same thing with the whole thing with the Mets. You know, there's certain players that are more valuable to the Mets than other teams. The same thing with Judge. If you take Judge off the Yankees next year, they're not going to be a good team. They're going to go with Volpe at shortstop. Peraza is going to be here. You're counting on young players. And believe me, Cashman is betting all his chips on Volpe and Peraza and Dominguez. Those guys don't tune out, and you don't keep Judge, you're in trouble. I don't think the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers have to worry about other things they got to worry about. But I don't think the Dodgers are going to go. I mean, listen, I do think Judge. Listen, if you're a player, knowing that you're going to get $300 million from any team you probably X that are trying to get you, right? No, Yelfies, you are just smoking the good stuff, man. Give me some, because the Yankees would be a 75-win team. You got to remember, you got Toronto in your division that's going to win 90 games. You're going to have Tampa Bay that always seems to win 90 games. You got Baltimore, who's up and coming, that are probably going to be better than they are this year. And listen, if the Yankees were in any other division, they would be in third place right now. So the only reason why you guys are still in first place is because the Rays and the Blue Jays aren't as good as everybody thought they would be. And I'll tell you right now, Judge, I'm telling you, if you're a player, look, if you're yourself, if you're me, I would want to go home. I know they're going to pay me, listen, if the Yankees pay me $310 and the Giants, my hometown team, is giving me $300, I'm going to San Francisco. It's very simple. Like, Yankee or not. Like, listen, the Giants probably have a better chance of winning the World Series than the Yankees, considering the way they have played the last couple of years. All right, so Sampson's out of the game. Rucker is in the ball game for the Cubs. The Mets will have 5, 6, 7. Vogel back up.
Adrian Sampson had himself quite a night.
I think the only way Judge Cohen tries to sign
5-1 instead of 1-5.
Judge is if the Mets have a really bad postseason run. Like, I mean, terrible.
For a strike. Vogelback's been up twice, grounded out both times. Canna and Escobar to follow. That's hoping they get in the start.
See if the Mets can get anything going here.
Adam Ottavino up in the Mets bullpen. And there's a breaking ball that Vogelback swings over the top of, and it's 0-2.
Nick, exactly. I mean, he ain't going to get that. Probably get over $300 million. Look, what the Yankees don't want is a bidding war by a team.
For Diaz lately, the Mets have either blowing people out or getting beat.
And Vogelback pops up. At least he didn't hit the ball on the ground.
On comes Suzuki, and that's the second baseman Bodie taken. I thought for a moment he's going to run up Bodie's back. But Vogelback retired for the first down.
Well, I don't know. To be honest with you, Todd.
A strange series of games this has been for the Mets.
Yeah, see, I'm not a big fan of the Mets going after Ohtani. Ohtani had the opportunity of going to the Yankees. The Yankees went hard after Ohtani. He didn't come to New York. I don't know if this guy is a New York type of player who can deal with the constant backlash of New York fans, to be honest. D-backs got a lot of nurturing players. You know, and the Giants last year won 107 games. As much as flawed as that might have been, they won 107 games. You know, they got players. They got a couple of kids in the farm system as well. So, well, 2 outs.
And that's the second out. That's been had a hit since the third when McNeil singled. 2 out of the 7.
Yeah, Nick, it's improvement. He hit it up in the air. Well, Ohtani, you know, I don't know how much more the Mariners are going to do. I think they're kind of set for next year, but that would be crazy. But the Angels are not going to trade him in division. They'll trade him to a team that's far away from there. I don't even think they're going to trade him in the American League, to be honest with you. Ohtani is like Soto to the Nationals. Yep, what do we got? 3 hits? 2 hits, even better.
Mississippi, went to college at Brigham Young. How many?
He's not going to get that much, Steven. Cardinals is interesting. That would be a perfect spot for him, to be honest. The fans are great out there. They don't boo. Another pop-up? Foul ball. Yeah, Jeff McNeil got the 2 hits. Well, offensive flump. That's basically it.
So 2 out of 3 for the Pirates this past weekend.
No, that's true. They did lose Robbie. What was it? Robbie Ray. Who was it? Robbie Ray, right? Oh, Grossman. So, not Gross. Gaussman. They lost. So that's true, but that doesn't mean they can't get it next year. You know what I'm saying?
But these are difficult times for this team. Every game of great import. They've been fortunate the last few days in that the Braves have suddenly hit a little bit of a skid. They certainly can't count on that continuing. games are inherently stressful.
Well, Shimmy, I said that earlier. That's what they haven't been doing.
But they should be fun coming to the ballpark.
That's driven to right field, but right at
Another hard hit ball at them. That sucks.
Ball by Escobar.
Mm,
1, 2, 3.
2 more innings to go. Not looking good for the Metsies. Well, Jakey, 4 runs for this Mets team lately is like 10 runs. So I'm not going to act like 4 runs is not a lot. And that is true. Mets actually, I think that's one thing that kind of, I wouldn't say worries me, but I don't like to see is that Buck Showalter is like the moves that he made with Ruff. Well, I mean, it's a weird slump by the Mets. You know what I'm saying? Offensively, because they'll score 10 runs and 9 runs against Miami, and then score nothing the next 2 nights. It's weird. You know, like they'll have one really bad game, and then they'll score runs, and then they don't again. Like it's not necessarily a complete slump, but it's like the top of the order slumps, and the bottom of the order, like in Miami and Pittsburgh, started to come alive. Then the top of the order started to hit a little bit, and then the bottom of the order suffered. So it's weird. Well, Nick, honestly, you got to start giving some work to Diaz. You can't let him sit down for 2 weeks and pitch 2 games in 2 weeks. You have to put him in there. You know, you got to give him some work. You know, Diaz is a guy that needs work. You can't throw him out in a save situation when he hasn't pitched for 7 days. So, Eli, Twins hitter for the Twins? No hitter so far? Interesting. Let's see. Against KC, top of the 6. It's a no-hitter for sure. Well, Jakey, yeah. Mr. X needing a leader. There's leaders on his team, but like when your guys are not hitting, like what are you gonna do? You know. Again, that's the biggest problem with the Mets right now, right? It was the bottom of the order in Pittsburgh, the bottom of the order in Miami, and then the top of the order a little bit started to get going a little bit, and then the bottom of the order started to struggle a little bit. So it's been not necessarily an entire offensive slump, but when the big guys have been coming up with runners on, they haven't been doing it. And the top of the order has been killing his team, at least for the last 2 weeks, big time. All right, top of the 8, 4-0 Cubs.
We go to the 8th inning. Adam Ottavino comes on to pitch for New York. Ottavino last worked on
But it's not about leaders when it comes to slumps. That's not the issue. Leaders come in when there's issues like clubhouse personalities, a toxic environment in the clubhouse. The Mets don't have that. They got a lot of leaders on that team. When you're slumping, you're slumping. That's baseball, you know. You know, the Yankees slumped for a month and a half. You know what I'm saying? Like, teams do that. You know, honestly, the Mets haven't struggled like this all year. You know, this is the first stretch of 2 weeks or more where they struggled offensively. You know, when you play 5 months of productive baseball offensively, and then all of a sudden you struggle the last month of the season or 3 to 4 weeks, that's worrisome at the end of the year. But that's going to be a base hit. Yeah, Jesse, exactly. It's like, look, the Braves lost 3 in a row. What if the Mets would have won their last 3 games? Well, they'll be up almost 3.5 games. Well, the Mets didn't take advantage of it. The Braves took a half-a-game lead when the Mets were struggling, and then the Braves lost 3 in a row. Nobody's taking advantage of the opportunities they had when they actually got the foot on the pedal. It's crazy. It's insane.
Well, the Guardians beat the Angels tonight 3-1, and Mike Trout did not homer, so his homer streak,
you know, in
7 straight games.
The 98 Yankees had a terrible September in 98. They went on to win the World Series. The 95 Braves struggled in September that year. They won the World Series. Look at the Nationals. They weren't playing well in September. When they were getting that wild card spot, they started to get hot the last week of September, and then they took it into the playoffs. You know, it's crazy how it works out. Oh, what the hell is that?
Well,
just a bit inside.
Ottavino is spending so much energy trying to hold base runners because he has been so vulnerable to the stolen base. And I don't know if that had any impact on that.
Well, Mr. X is a pretty good chance that they weren't playing all good teams every time. You know, in the AL East, the Yankees in '98, there was no competition. Maybe the Orioles, but other than that, Boston was bad. The Rays weren't even. I think they were just started expansion, so they weren't that good. You know, Toronto wasn't that good, so they weren't really playing anybody. And that was when you played your division a lot.
So we're in a scoring position with nobody out, and now Reyes takes long away, and it's 2-0. It's been one of those Murphy's Law games for the Mets.
And the Rays beat the Blue Jays.
A couple of bunts and a bad call by the umpires, contributing to a couple of runs. Some hard hit balls hit right at people.
Yeah, but it's not about putting McNeil. What does that do with the rest of the lineup? It doesn't do nothing. Wow. Stealing third base.
It's so lengthy in his delivery. It is so hard for him to hold runners on.
Yeah, but I mean, if you put McNeil behind Alonso, what does that do with the rest of the lineup? Lindor's not hitting, Nimmo's not hitting. You know, so. You know, JL, that's a great point. You know, both teams. Listen, the Braves using a ton of energy and a ton of everything to get back into the race. They finally get back into the race, and the Mets for the last month and a half have been trying to keep the Braves away from them, and they're both using a ton of energy. You know, that's why I think it's going to come down to the last series against each other. Well, I think the mental mistakes are more relevant with the Mets, considering the fact that Alonso and Lindor, for the most part, who are your big guys, are exhausted. They had played every game so far. I don't know if it's effort. I think it's more mental mistakes based on being tired. That's a nice strikeout. JD, that's kind of almost impossible. They got 20 games left. They're going to win at least 6 of them. I mean, both the Braves and the Mets are going to win 100 games. You know, the Mets have to play 2 games over 500 in the last 20, and the Braves have to go 12-8. Both teams are going to do that. I think it's going to take between 102 and 104 wins. Popped up, 2 outs, infield fly. Yeah, both teams are going to win 100 games. I think that's fairly. If they play 500 ball, both teams will get to 100 wins.
Less than 2 outs.
Both Reyes and Happ failed to do so, and now the infield can drop back with 2 outs.
Jesse, no, because like you know, does Harris and Grissom have experience? No. Like Acuna wasn't a part of the race last year, so why Freeman is not there anymore. Olsen hasn't really been in pressure situations like that. Who do you have? Swanson, Albies, that's been guys, and Darno. That's been with them every step of the way during big runs. So I think it's necessarily. It comes down to who gets hot at the right time. I think it's just that simple. We've seen that in the playoffs over the last 4 years. You know what I'm saying? And, the Braves won the World Series without Acuna. So where has Acuna been in a big race or a big-time playoff run? Not with the Braves, right? He hasn't done it. When Acuna was healthy, the Braves fell apart in the playoffs. He's not there. All of a sudden, they win. Think about that for a second. Steven, it doesn't matter, though. Offensively and being part of a team and being on the field when your team's making a run is a big difference. Let's be honest. It wasn't Acuna that helped that team get to the top. It was Freeman. It was Soler. It was Rosario. Two guys that weren't even on your team before July. And the Mets are going to get out of it without giving up a run. How about that? All right, well, the Mets got 2 more licks to get back in this ball game. Offensively, McNeil has been the hits. You know, look, the Nationals, right? They got hot at the right time. You look at their rotation, you look at their lineup, there's nothing special about that. You know, Patrick Corbin, who's a bum, that was his great year he ever had. Strasburg was healthy, that helped. Scherzer was hurt at the time. JD, that's not true. That's not true. The Braves won 88 games last year. You're acting like they won 105 games. They won 88 games last year. They had no competition in the division. I'm not placing the blame on Acuna, but let's be honest. The Braves played better when Acuna got hurt. So what does that tell you? Give up big time for Swanson, big time for Albies. Freeman, who's not on your team anymore. Rosario, who's not the same player as last year. Soler, who's not even on the team. You know, the guys who got you there is the guys who, 2 of them, big parts, your World Series MVP and your best player on the team, and Freeman, are not there. You know, why did we just assume that Harris and Grossman and Olsen, 3 new guys on the team, are going to do it in big spots? You don't know that until they get to that point, right? It's been a pressure situation for Olsen for almost a month now. He's, 5 for his last 45, 4 for his last 42? It's the same thing with many teams. The Nationals got hot late in September, right? They were a wild card team. They got hot late in September, and look what happened. The same thing with the Braves last year. They got hot at the right time after they made those trades at the deadline. You know, listen, the Mets, after DeGrom got hurt, there was no chance of them winning that division. The Braves won 88 games last year. Yes, well, JD just made my point. They were getting hot at the right time at the end of the year going into the playoffs. The Dodgers did it in the 60-game season. The Red Sox did it late in 2018. It's the same thing over and over and over again with teams. 17, the Astros were good all year. They were just a better team than everybody else. Cheating. Well, let's see if the Mets can score some. No, Ella, they wouldn't have won without Soto, but it was everybody on that Nationals team that were doing what they had to do. It's not about the best team making the playoffs and winning the World Series. It's not that.
Just 2 hits tonight. Jeff McNeil has them both, and one of them came when his ground ball struck Nemo on the foot.
Baseball is not the same way baseball used to be played.
6 scoreless innings to start. Rucker worked the 1-2-3 7th, staying on for the 8th.
No, because the Mets are winning about 100, and the Mets are on pace for a win 104 games. But the point is, last year, this is not about this year. It's last year they won 88 games. They got hot at the right time. The Braves did not win 118 games that year. What are you looking at? Wow. Yeah, you gotta check your confidence. Hey, we got a base hit. Hey. Can the Mets find a way to get back in this ball game? The Red Sox did not win 118 games that year. Yes, and 108 games were a team that the Red Sox, no one ever thought the Mets were going to win that game. I mean, excuse me, the Red Sox were going to go all the way that year. Yeah, I agree. Look, they've been the hottest team in baseball. But again, the team that everybody expects to win, right? Who has been the favorites all year? The Astros, the Dodgers. Most of the year, right? The favorites to win the World Series. The Yankees were even favored to win the World Series. That means nothing at the end of the year, right? It's always the team that gets hot at the right time. Well, let's see if the Mets can come back in this ball game. Focus on the game. I'll take no double plays. Well, see, St. Louis scares me. They're one of those teams. No, but there's still 2 weeks in the season. The Braves aren't hot right now either.
It's a
You know what I'm saying? Like, for the most place, the Phillies have been playing better than the Braves and the Mets the last month. So are the Phillies the hottest team? No.
Skies one out to right. Suzuki got circled around, but finds it and makes the catch. And McCann retired third straight time.
It's the same thing. The American League look like a really bad American League, right? And look, Seattle has been coming alive. It's gonna pitching changes happening for the Cubs. Seattle's looking like a better team, a team that could get hot at the right time. They got the good pitching. They got a lot of young, good players. St. Louis always finds a way when they make the playoffs to do some damage. Look, I think every National League team's got to worry about every National League team getting into the playoffs. It's not about the American League until the World Series, obviously. You guys know that. Yeah, exactly. The Giants and the Dodgers won 106, 107 games. The Dodgers couldn't beat the Braves. The Giants couldn't get out of the first round. The Dodgers couldn't get past the Braves. And considering that the Dodgers were the favorites, why didn't they get to the World Series and win? Right? It seems like the only team that's favored for the last 4 to 5 years, the Astros, they go on a big run. They make the World Series, or at least get to the ALCS every year. It seems that way. It doesn't look. The Braves won 88 games last year. I can assure you, when the playoffs started, nobody was betting on the Braves to get past anywhere near the World Series, right? But they did, right? Why? Because all of them got hot at the right time. Freeman was unconscious. Swanson was really good. Soler was one of their best players. Rosario was really good. It wasn't even the guys that were there all the time. Darno was clutch. Like, they got hot at the right time. And as good as Grissom is, as good as Harris is, as good as Olsen is, those guys are replacing guys who, one was a World Series MVP. Freeman was one of your best players in the playoffs. They're not there, right? Rosario hasn't been the same player ever since he had that eye surgery. He's been better of late, but he's not. Is he going to be that same guy that helped that team to get to the promised land? Yes. But just because Harris is good during the season and Grissom is good, when it comes to playoff time, who knows how they're going to react? Olsen, really good player. One of the better first basemen in the league, but he's not Freddie Freeman. You know what? Freeman, anytime you count on him, he came through. Again, Strider wasn't there last year, but that doesn't mean Strider's going to be good in the playoffs. You just don't know about these players. The same way you just don't know about certain players on the Mets. You just don't know. All right, let's see if the Mets can do something here.
Good fastball up and in right there from Hughes. Got him a ground out to first last night. Lindor on deck.
Charlie Morton was your best pitcher in the playoffs last year.
He made it first with one out, bottom of the eighth. And takes the slider out of the strike, so 1-1. Hughes has become the closer of the bullpen.
Well, I don't know why anybody was talking about a weak schedule. I said this before the weak schedule. I hate looking at that. It's that's when top prospects comes up, and teams like to be spoilers. So I don't like to look at that. It's dumb. It's baseball. It doesn't work like that.
Slider has him ahead on Nimmo 1-2. He came into a bases loaded jam last night. Escobar had rough to fly out.
That's a nasty slider right there. Look, the Cubs are using their closer in the 8th inning. They did that last night, and they did that. They're doing it tonight as well. So don't tell me these bad teams are not trying to beat good teams. They are.
Down the count 1-2. That slider knocked down nicely by Gomes. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Well, that's the thing, and in the playoffs, you can't have a pitcher like that. Like, that goes the same thing with the Mets with Taijuan Walker. I don't trust that guy. Every time he comes, he gets killed or he pitches really well. Strider got great stuff, but when he's not on, he's very hittable. And, you could say that, Fried wasn't your best pitcher for the Braves in the postseason. It was Morton. And Nimmo grounds it. Nice play.
Smooth play by Rivas to get the second out. 3-6 fielder's choice.
Just really a good pitch right there.
Well, JL, you can trust Strider, but again, he hasn't done it. He's pitching the most innings he's ever have. You know, there's always inning limits on these guys. They always hit a wall. And then you got to count on him. He's basically your number 2 pitcher going into the playoffs. Listen, I trust Morton before I trust Strider. Morton's been around the block, and he's been clutch for you guys.
Forward against Hughes with 2 out of the 9th last night. Mets were down 4 runs at the time. Now they're down 4 again as Hughes comes inside for ball 1. Adrian Sampson, 6 scoreless innings. Michael Walker got 4 outs.
I think Judge is going to pass. He's going to get a 62.
Takes it high, and it's 2-0.
Well, the ball carries to right center field today. Tonight, I should say. And last night as well. Lindor clocked that one.
Hughes behind him 2-0. And now 3-0.
Well, I do think well, the Cubs actually had good pitching. It's been their lineup that's been a huge problem. I mean, they probably have a couple of shutouts. I mean, most teams do. So 3-0 to Lindor with 2 outs with a man on first.
Fires a strike 3-1.
Wayne, we're not going to know that until the seedings come out. You know, the NL East division's still up for grabs. The wild card is still fluctuating. We don't know yet.
First with 2 out. And Lindor pulls one foul, 3-2. So Demo will be on the move. 3-2 coming to Lindor. And he struck him out.
There you go. Another bad at bat by Lindor, striking it out. Again, you know, these bad teams love to be spoilers, man. I tell you. You know, you saw emotion from the Giants last night beating the Braves. You saw Hughes on the mound screaming. You know, these teams that are not going anywhere want to beat these good teams. You know, there was emotion from Hughes just now screaming like he's in a World Series. These teams love to be spoilers. The Giants last night, you saw the emotions when they struck out, when they got the final out of the game against the Braves. They love beating these teams. You know, that's why easy schedules in September are funny, because these teams love to be the spoiler, man. Well, Mr. X, when you're not scoring, you're not going to be screaming, to put it that way. I'm not going to go crazy like that. I mean, Jimenez has been good, but, I mean, Rosario has been pretty damn good for the Guardians as well. But, again, you know, Lindor is going to have probably close to 100 RBIs at the end of the year. You know, bat 270, hit 25, 26 home runs. You look at his career, that's what he is. And, yes, the Braves are starting now in San Francisco. Again, listen, the Braves and the Mets had opportunities to take advantage of the poor play by the other team. They both haven't done it. Like, it's a very odd situation. The Braves have been hot, and then when the Mets fall apart, it seems like the Braves lose 2 out of 3, and they don't gain any ground or gain only one game. Like, it's weird. It's a weird September for both teams. You know, the Braves have been pretty good, but you know, the Mets were 6-4. The Braves were 7-3. That's only a 1-game difference. Like, it's been like that for a month now. It's crazy. Well, I don't think we're gonna right the ship. We're down by 4 runs with one more our last licks in the 9th, so we'll see. Well, Mr. X, it hasn't been a different, you know, it hasn't been like the pitching has given up 9 runs or the Mets score 5 and lose 6-5. It's been just the offense. It's just what it's been. It hasn't been nothing else. and I do think both the Mets and the Braves are scoreboard watching a little bit too much and not worrying about necessarily. Look, Diaz is in the ball game. Again, I thought Diaz was going to pitch. Look, you got to understand why Diaz is in this game. This guy hasn't pitched. I think he's pitched twice in 2 weeks. You got to get this guy pitching a little bit. You got to get him some innings because you don't want to throw him in a safety situation and he hasn't pitched in a week. So you got to give him work. He pitches better with pitching a lot.
He's been resistant to pitching in lopsided games, but there comes a time when you got to get him in just to keep him sharp.
It was similar to his last appearance in Miami, Garen. He did outstanding.
Well, remember, they didn't want to bring him in with the Mets down 1 run, and then when they were down 3 runs, he came in to get the final 2 outs.
Right.
Got Gomes first been up against him with a sacrifice fly back in the 4th. Diaz's fastball off the plate is 2-0.
Well, Mr. X, again, there was opportunity. It's not like the Mets, the Mets had let me see, 5 walks in the game.
Second one helped the Yankees tie up the Red Sox 4-4. That's lined into center field right off the end of the bat from Gomes, and he's got a leadoff hit. And that shows you what lack of a.
Well, I think Acuna's knee is really bothering him, and you know what? For a guy who's look, even the Braves are giving Gresham off. You know what I'm saying? When you see guys struggling a little bit, you got to do something about it. And look, I think Acuna came back a little too quickly from that knee injury, to be honest with you.
More than it is difficult right now.
Wisdom takes a strike. Wisdom had the safety squeeze bunt in the 4th inning to drive in a run, otherwise 0 for 2. Well, there's nobody up in the Cubs bullpen. It looks like Hughes is going to be asked to get 5 outs for a second straight night. That was offered at as he tried to bunt. And it's 0-2. It's not often these days that you see a relief pitcher asked to get 5 outs 2 straight nights.
Well, but Scott, even with that, the Mets walked 5 times and they left 7 men on base. Like, even with no hits, with just 3 hits, they had a lot of walks. They had runners on. They just couldn't get the hits with runners on at that point.
Braves trying to avoid losing 4 in a row for the first time this season. And a swing and a miss to the slider, and Wisdom is down for the first out in the top of the 9th. Spectrum Mobile brings you tonight's high-speed hitting. Ian Happ's home run into the second deck against Jacob DeGrom in the second inning. By far the hardest hit ball tonight. In the bottom of the 9th, the Mets will have 3, 4, and 5 in the order coming up. McNeil, Alonso, and Vogelbach. Presumably, it's going to be against Hughes because there's nobody else throwing. Here's Rivas, who's 0 for 3. The runner goes, and McCann's throw is well late.
I'm going to tell you these guys right now. You heard it's going to be McNeil, Alonso, and Vogelbach. How much you want to bet Vientos is going to pinch hit against Vogelbach because the lefty used is going to pitch the 9th. Watch.
That's a good time to steal right there.
He got an enormous jump with Diaz paying him no mind. So he's the second with 1 out. This is outside 2-0, so clearly Diaz is anything but sharp. 2 outs, 6 pitches in 12 days will do that. That at the game situation. I mean, closers thrive off adrenaline, right? And they can play the trumpets all they want, but there's very little adrenaline.
Ken, I'm telling you. I watch Vientos is going to hit a 3-run homer, and the Mets will lose 4-3.
Slow down. He likes to work at a rapid clip. Rivas pushing a bunt. Escobar has no play. And the Cubs
3 bunts by the Cubs.
Their way to success. Wow. 2 sacrifice bunts, one of which produced a run.
Well, I said that before the series to Brave fans who didn't want to believe me. The Giants have good pitching. Their lineup is terrible.
That is a beauty, and that advances the run. Now, this one, I think, is a terrific idea. You put it down, you got a sacrifice fly.
Mr. X, it's not about field. That was a good bunt. You got to know about baseball when it comes to that. That's just a perfect bunt.
Playing baseball circuit 1982.
How about this, though? A 4-0 lead. In the 90s and 80s, you bunt with a 4-0 lead, you're getting a ball to the face. But that don't happen anymore.
Minnesota tonight, Joe Ryan has held the Royals without a hit through 7 innings, but they've taken him out to start the 8th.
Oh, boy.
106 pitches. No-hitter interruptus. Diaz knows all about that. He finished off a combined no-hitter earlier this year. Started by Tom McGill. 5-pitcher no-hitter. So Diaz with the runner at third and 1 out just dialed it up on the first 2 pitches.
I'm sorry, some of you guys just don't understand baseball. You're talking about right now, 3 weeks until the playoffs, that they're not going to do anything. Like, do the Braves look like a team that can't do nothing? They haven't played well the last 3 games. Like, I don't understand. Like, the Cardinals look like one of the hotter teams. Can they just win it? I think people just look at, when the Mets scored 20 runs in 2 games, everybody was like, oh, the Mets are back. Like, you can't just go on 1 game or 2 games or 4 games based on the playoffs. It really does mean nothing.
3 runs, 4 hits, no walks, 10 strikeouts. He's on the hook in this game. Despite his 3rd double-digit strikeout game of the year and his 39th straight start.
The emotions towards one.
McKinstry takes a slider for a strike that tied the major league record set 108 years ago by Jim.
How do you know that though? Like, I just don't understand.
Small solace for DeGrom tonight, unless the Mets can find a way to rally and win this game. There goes the runner from first, and McCann will let him go. Rivas steals second.
JL, I wouldn't. Never count on a team like that. They got a really good lineup. Yeah, it doesn't look good, but it doesn't look good for a lot of teams right now. Well, no, you haven't, because this is the 2nd best team ever in Mets history, based on record. So it really doesn't matter. And I hate when people say, "Oh, I'm older than you, so you know more baseball." Not the case. That has nothing to do with it. How is it a fluky year? They've been the 3rd best team in baseball all year. Sometimes the 2nd, sometimes the 1st. They're gonna have one of their best seasons since '86. Even if they win 96 games, still one of their best seasons since '86. So the 2nd best team in your Mets history, we want to talk about that, right? The '69 Mets should have never won the World Series, but they did, right? The 2nd best team in franchise history is not a team that you're going to be having. They played 5 months of consistent, good to great baseball. It's a 2-week stretch. Relax. If you're older than me, then you should know better. You shouldn't be having. Well, Mr. X, that's what you're doing. You're predicting fall due to your history. What about the Braves' history, right? You don't think Brave fans, wow, we haven't won since '95. Did that automatically mean they weren't going to win the World Series last year? No. It's not about history. History means absolutely nothing. Was the 2015 Mets, which I guarantee you were waving your pom-poms in the playoffs that year, were we worrying about the history then when we made the World Series in 2015? No, because history would have told you that team should have never made the playoffs, right? The problem is people talk too much about history, right? The Braves win a division almost how many years in a row? Finally won a World Series when they least expect to win a World Series, right? With Maddox and Glavine and Smoltz. All those years, Andrew Jones, Brian Jordan, Chipper Jones, right? All those guys, they have won World Series with that team. How many years did they win the playoffs year after year after year? 73. We're talking about how many years ago? 45 years ago? Means absolutely nothing in 2022, right? The Yankees' history is amazing. Does that help them this year? No. You talk about history like it means anything in this year. It doesn't. And if you're older than most people, then you should know better. It's very simple. And this is from somebody who's younger than you, who's seen more bad baseball in his lifetime and never seen a World Series. So at least you've seen two, or at least one. I don't know how old you are. The 73 Mets, who wasn't expected to win a World Series, almost won a World Series to Oakland. JD, I talk about history all the time when it benefits nobody. It's not a Mets fold. How is it a fold if they could still win a division and they're going to make the playoffs? JD, we can talk about Dodger history too. You finally won a World Series since '88. You were in the Mets Bowl for many years. Don't worry, Vientos is going to come up for Vogelback now. Don't worry, guys. It's not a fold when you make the playoffs. Sorry, it's not. It's not. You know, Met fans are talking about 2015, and all they were talking about was 07 and 08, but yet they made the World Series. Well, JL, I agree, but the Dodgers did win a World Series first time since '88. You know, they're just like the Braves, considering they win the division every year, it seems like, and they fold in the playoffs, right? You can say it. It's not a choke. Wow. Mr. X, you see, that you should be embarrassed. A choke job is 07. Oh, look, Alonso hits a home run. Well, that would have been nice about 6 innings ago. Oh, that was a double-decker shot. We're losing because the offense is slumping, not because of – it's not bad luck. I never said that. RM, exactly. The Dodgers, the same thing. No. Yeah. No, I'm not talking about folding. What Braves fans and Dodger fans are saying, they make the playoffs every year, right? They claim the Mets, they're better than the Mets. They are. But you have to look at it. The Braves and the Dodgers have more opportunities to win a World Series than the Mets because they make the playoffs almost every year. Why haven't they won more World Series? Yeah, but again, Mr. X, other teams do choke. But this team has not choked. Oh, look, Vientos is up, guys. Hey, told you. I'm not saying I'm not worried. But if you're going to think that 2 weeks from now, when the Mets make the playoffs, no matter if it's the wild card or the division, means absolutely nothing what they did 2 weeks ago. So you're telling me if the Mets in the last week of the season win 7 in a row, all of a sudden you're going to say the luck's changed because they won 7 in a row? No. I don't care what you say, Mr. X. You're not choking. I'm sorry. You're just not. Oh. That's a pop-up.
Well, one more look. They wanted to go up. He didn't get it up. He got it over the middle and felt high. And Pete, see that lightning bolt on his hitting gloves?
I love what he hit. He nearly hit one in the first inning tonight that barely went foul. This one, no mistake, 443 feet. Not as long as to the year. I'm told he hit one 447 in St. Louis. 4 feet shorter, but every bit as impressive. Well,
Yeah, but when the Mets are going bad and they won 6 in a row, even during that stretch when they weren't scoring, they won 6 in a row. So, and I think people seem to forget they're still winning series, even though they're not playing well. Even though they might lose the series to the Cubs, but they won the Marlins series, they won the Pittsburgh series when everybody thought they weren't. Marte should be. They said I think the Brewers series, Mr. X. But again, if you're relying on Marte, we were struggling with Marte as well. So.
Would be next. Canada flares one foul, and now the Mets are down to their final strike. Looks like the Braves are going to get another opportunity to gain ground. They failed to do so last night.
Yeah, but again, Marte was giving us some energy, but with Marte, we were still not scoring runs. So again, you can't just look at one player and think it's going to turn it around. Like, I just don't understand. Hey, Matt, how you doing? Marte is not out until the end of the month. He's going to be back in the Brewers series. Whoa.
Way outside. It's 3-2 to Canada. Wick will save some games for the Cubs this year on call if needed. You got the switch hitting Escobar on deck, and then the left-hand hitter Bjorman. 3-2 to Canada. That's
4-4.
And the game continues.
Oh, we got to run around. We need one more runner on. Not dead yet.
With Escobar coming to the plate with his 10-game hitting streak on the line. He hit the ball hard as last time up, lining out to right. Tommy Honavi, the pitching coach, is going to come out and talk to Hughes.
All right, even if they win 9 games, that's 99 wins, 98 wins. You could say the same thing about the Braves. The Braves go 500, they're not winning the division if the Mets go 9 and 10.
Honavi's not going to make a pitching change.
He's got plenty left. That fastball had juice on it. You saw how Canada took that.
Max should be also back during the Brewers series. When they both come off the IL in the Brewers series, they're supposed to play.
A little respite here. But this will be his last batter.
Well, you got Bjorman, the left-hand hitter on deck. Although Ruff is out on deck.
Uh-oh, here comes big boy Ruff on deck.
So if they set up Ruff, then certainly you'll get.
Well, McGill gave up 5 runs in the minor league, so I don't know if they're going to bring him up or they're just going to give him another rehab start. I'm not sure. Well, we need one more base runner.
Canada at first with 2 out. They're going to let him take second base.
Oh, that was a high strike.
Moves Canada to second.
Got to take a strike here.
Just did.
JD, you're not actually know anything about baseball then, if that's the case.
Just misses inside.
If the Mets are going to go 0-19, then they don't deserve to make the playoffs. That's not going to happen. Even bad teams win 4, 5, 6, 7 games over the next 20. That's just a stupid comment.
1-2 Escobar. He takes that one on the corner, and now it's 1-2.
Drop a little backdoor slider. Nice. Oh, there's that net line shot.
So for the second time, the Mets are down to their final strike. Canada was able to draw the walk to keep it going. Now it's 1-2 Escobar. And Escobar pops it up.
Should end the game, and it does. And the Cubs already win the series. First 2 games against the Cubs, they lose with the offense just absolutely non-existent, except for a home run by Alonso that actually didn't mean nothing. And Vientos looks a little pissed. I wouldn't be surprised. Well, it wasn't a nice. Well, once again, the Braves are losing again. I don't think anybody wants the NL East, to be honest with you. once again, guys, the Mets offense has just been non-existent. They got to come out tomorrow. Very simple. They got to win the ball game. Listen, it's got to be like that. It's got to be what you have to do. It's just very simple. Again, nobody seems to be taking advantage of the bad play from both teams. And honestly, I don't know. JD, that's just a stupid comment. I mean, Kershaw is terrible. I mean, he finally had a good 2020 in the World Series in the playoffs. He hasn't been his World Series. His playoffs has been terrible. Again, JD, the comments today are just absolutely stupid. You're saying the Mets are not going to win another game. That's funny. I mean, I don't know. Listen, it's not a nice. Look, the Mets have struggled offensively. Even with the Mets struggling offensively, they just won the last 2 series, right? It's weird. It doesn't make sense for a team who's played well for 5 months offensively, and they're struggling for the last 2 weeks. The last 2 weeks offensively has been bad. And the reason why, well, JD, I mean, could we take JD seriously? One day he's a Met fan, the next day he's a Dodger fan. He likes both teams. So I don't trust those type of fans ever, because when the Dodgers and the Mets are playing, he was a Dodger fan when they won the first game. All of a sudden the Mets games the last 2. So bandwagon fans are cute, they're cuddly, and they're a waste of time for sports teams, to be honest. No, JD supports, but JD, let's be honest. You're a team, you're a fan of both teams. You're a Mets and Dodger fan. It doesn't really work for me, and you know that. I spoke about that with you in Lent during the Mets Talk Live. You know that. So again, the Mets have been playing bad. The Mets been playing bad, and the Braves still haven't taken advantage of it. So it happens, right? The way the Mets and the Braves are playing, they haven't been taking advantage of the bad play by both teams. So with that said, time for work. We'll see if the Mets can actually show a pulse tomorrow. Again, I want to see the Mets come out with a burst of energy, a little bit of showing like there's some urgency, because it is, right? There's some urgency there. Come out with some urgency and give the Cubs a chance tomorrow. Very simple. Can that happen? Who the hell knows? So with that said, guys, the Mets lose 4-1. That is on your screen. Lost the series already to the Cubs, but we'll see if good luck, Cody, because they haven't been doing much lately. So with that said, the Braves are on right now. They're losing, I believe, 1-0. The Braves are coming up. We'll see what happens with the Braves game later. Probably tomorrow when this game ends for them. It comes down to the offense for the Mets. The pitching has not been bad. And that's why I think the people who are concerned about the Mets, the pitching has been good. And that's why you shouldn't be overly concerned about a team who has been good. And look, let's be honest. The Braves pitching has been good too. The offense have let them down in the last couple of games. And when the offense played, the Braves pitching has failed them. So it goes both ways, right? If the Mets score some runs, they might win a lot more ball games than they actually lost in the last week or 2. That's called baseball. Mets lose 4-1. I will not be doing a stream tomorrow. I'll probably be doing it during the Pirates series. So I'll see you guys next time. Let's see if the Mets can actually beat the Cubs for once. See you guys next time. Everybody have a good night. As always, let's go Mets and let's go Giants. Have a good night, guys.